Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar
Welcome to the party.
and Simon.
Greetings and salutations.
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, Kamar, do we have any new patrons?
Just going through my files here. Apparently, everyone took the week off of Patreon, but that's all right.
Smart move.
That's all right. Join the Patreon. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Follow your boy at Kamar Babar. No, thank you very much to all the Patreons, past, present, and future.
Okay, Kamar, how was your week?
Pretty good week. I did a couple shows. I'm working on a new joke. The premise is sort of like I hate technology,
Yep.
and so sometimes I tie up the Roomba and vacuum in front of it and cuckold the Roomba. Or just little things you would do if you guys want to jump in here.
What's the premise for the joke?
Oh, he's trying to get us to write the joke. I get it.
missed
Just have a
that.
little session.
What's the premise?
I was going to say I tie up the Roomba sometimes and vacuum in front of it and cuckold the Roomba.
Gotcha.
Just little things you could do.
So you fuck the vacuum and watch
But
it
if you
make the
hate
Roomba
technology,
watch?
why do you have a Roomba?
Make it jealous?
Exactly. There you go. There you go. No, I did a show. The club and a show in a old church that got converted into a theater in Wakefield.
Nice.
It was very, very cool week. And mark my words, this warm weather is. Were you guys out on
Are you about to make a weather prediction that the warm weather's over?
Thursday night though?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
But it felt like end of days sort of weird. Like it just shouldn't be this warm all throughout. It just felt weird, eh? Full moon last night, whatever. Pretty quiet week. And I saw the finale of Billions.
Simon, how was your week?
My week was fine. Thank you, Matthew. I got a tick on me yesterday. I was moving some wood around at my house, and then
Ooh, not everything's
or
cool
not
in the
yesterday,
country.
the day before. I wanted to burn my skin off. Like I was so.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal. Like it was on for like 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Just plucked it off. Hadn't even started sucking or nothing. But just the idea
It was trying to bore
that
into
this thing was on me, sharing my.
So you have Lyme disease now?
No, probably not. But who knows? They don't even test for Lyme disease unless it's been on you for like a certain amount of time and you show
Interesting.
signs of whatever. Yeah. If I had like a tapeworm or some sort of parasite, I would kill myself. There's no way I would be able to function in life. Like just with this little hitchhiker on me, they just stick their head in you. You know what I mean? Something inside, I would not be able to handle it.
just taking up real estate, not paying rent.
I would be one of those people who like takes a knife and starts fucking boring into, horror movie styles.
Yeah.
Do you have dogs?
Yeah.
So you got to worry about them too.
Yeah, they're short hairs though, and dogs is no problem. They take a medication, the tick bites them and then dies and falls off. I'm like, well, why can't I take that? And we looked it up, and it's because it'll give us all sorts of neurological complications. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'll do it.
Did you take like a Silkwood shower?
A Silkwood shower.
That's too old a reference for you.
Yeah, I definitely took a shower.
Do you know the movie Silkwood? No. I think it was with Meryl Streep. It was about she's working at a nuclear plant or something, and there might have been a leak, and they put her in this shower, just spray her with all this water, and have these. They're in suits, and they're like coarse brooms scrubbing her down.
I would
to
have
get
liked that.
radiation,
That's
yeah.
what I felt I needed.
The old Silkwood shower.
100%.
That was my Dennis Miller reference.
And the only other thing, I was watching a clip yesterday, and it was Joe Rogan talking to Theo Vaughn about how he had a pit bull that went after his cat one day and he choked it out. Do you remember him telling that?
Joe had to choke out?
I totally don't remember ever hearing that before. And that's like, I think that needs to get more play in
That
the
might be
world,
the last
man.
time Joe got in a fight.
That's crazy. He fucking jujitsu choked out his pit bull.
Wouldn't it be great if you found out he did that right directly after the Neil Young concert?
He was a kid back then, though.
Oh, so sorry, Simon. I forgot that only Kamar's jokes hit so hard that you can't help but laugh. Whereas everything I say
it
is
all
so
adds
serious.
to the tapestry, which is Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not so far off him fighting a cougar because that's some serious shit. And I don't know. I guess that was the only time he ever mentioned that because I don't remember him ever talking about that.
In one, if a dog has a thing in its mouth, it really is not any more danger.
For you?
Yeah.
Well, it could definitely let the thing go and bite you.
But you're choking it. You come from behind.
I mean, it's still...
I'm just thinking with the cougar, there's a lot more. The claws and the mouth are.
Yeah, dogs are fast as fuck though, and if a pit bull sees you coming and decides like, "Oh, this is my next target," you're.
But it has a cat. in its
My initial reaction would be to grab something and hit it or to kick it, maybe, keep my distance from it. Just throwing yourself down and choking that dog, that's pretty fucking
You gotta
cool.
poke its
I'm
eyes
sorry.
out.
That gives me a whole new respect for Joe Rogan.
How's your week, Matt?
Who cares? Kamar, you want to go over the guest list?
Beautiful.
Oh, well,
Love to.
first, happy 5-year. Who gives a shit?
Happy 5-year, and I think that's the most interesting about one of our guests. That it feels like almost full circle.
It was almost 5 years to the day that Shane Dorian was on.
Joe did 4 episodes this week, but one was a JRE MMA show, which we don't do with Dan Henderson. So our week started off with 2051, Simon's favorite pseudoscientist, Graham Hancock.
Racist pseudoscientist.
Nerd on nerd crime. That's all I could think in this one. Followed by 2052, one of the highest episode Simon's ever rated, Shane Dorian.
You know, I actually went back to. I was trying my hardest to get Simon rating it highly, and then put it on the button so that we could at least have it. And I spent time listening to that.
He gave it 2.5.
No, we didn't rate things.
We're so green.
We
Rating
didn't even start with the Jamie Vernons.
No, we had Jamie's was like episode 3 or 4. I was like, why don't we rate it?
Wow, that's a Mandela effect, eh?
No, but the thing is we during the episode I was listening and Simon kept talking about how the Shane Dorian episode was great and how great Shane Dorian was, and then you kept joking like, I mean, this guy was no Shane Dorian or anything, and that kind of became the joke.
Built its lore. So Shane Dorian, and then we finish off with 2053. I called it Danny and Michael Philippou.
The Raka Raka Boys.
The Raka Raka Boys, which I realized I found because one of them was hanging out with Riley Reid.
So you were following Riley Reid, saw this little nerd hanging out with them, was like, who is this guy?
100%. Just, it's the nature of rabbit holes, you know?
Well, it all comes back to porn. That's
the common denominator. Does someone want to rate the week?
I'll give it a 3.5, actually. Despite Mr. Dorian.
Well, that's just an impossible rating.
I will go with a 3, I believe. That would be my Oh no, that's an impossible rating.
Yeah,
It's going to be a 3, and it's going to be like a 2. It's a 2.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm on a 2, but I think I'm being generous with a 2.
Well, that Shane Dorian episode, just when you throw like a 0.75 into the mix, that just yanks down that whole score.
All right, come on, let's get into it. Let's do what we do here.
Well, to Simon's glee, let's start off with 2051 Graham Hancock. Now, this isn't what it was supposed to be, and that's a crime. And
Well, I was going to say, we can't even put him on the clock.
there was no clock to be put on.
No, he's on the clock.
Well, no, I think his Netflix special answered the
No.
clock.
No.
No? Okay. Well, then he's back on the clock. But
He's been on the
What
clock.
is what would chime the clock for you? You need
We just
like,
said something
proof-
new. No, we
proof.
said, we were like, if he keeps coming back with the same stuff,
Right.
it's not great.
Exactly. Like not the last time, but the time before that.
Yeah.
He came back for his book, Ancient America, which that was all about this new civilization
serpent,
they're
yada, yada,
finding in the Amazon rainforest.
Yep.
And that's what I'm thinking. You see, on most podcasts, when you like, let's just say, example, right after listening to this, I listened to Graham Hancock on another podcast. On that podcast, he was specifically on there to talk about whatever.
one of the
One of the certain things. Now, they talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But whenever there was a question of which way it was going to go, it got pulled back to Gobekli Tepe or whatever the point of the. That's not how Joe's things work with anybody, right? Not just Graham Hancock, but you go on there and you're going to talk for 3.5 hours without any sort of, I mean, unless you're going on flogging a book or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to go on and this is what's going to happen. You end up fucking having the exact same conversation they already had.
Yeah. Well, that was the problem. That's why I said he's on the clock, is because,
Yeah.
And again, you can't say anything about this one. They probably just shouldn't have done it. Like they knew long ago enough that it wasn't going to happen.
Or listen, Graham Hancock has like a Rolodex of sites of the. Come on, tell Joe some shit he hasn't heard before, but
yeah.
don't come on and tell us the exact same fucking stories you've
It's
already
music to
told
my
us.
ears hearing you say that. But I mean, we should explain. This was supposed to be a debate,
Yeah.
which could have been just amazing.
I mean,
because Graham Hancock admittedly has a temper, and he could get. It could have got really.
well, the last time they had a debate, first of all, debates never work
With
on
Michael
Joe
Shermer?
Rogan Show. They're always, I mean, they're gold for us, but for like normal people, it is a fucking disaster. Yeah, it was Michael Shermer. They each brought a guest.
They're
Their
phoning
guest
in guests.
each brought a guest.
So that's what this potentially was going to be. And I think they should have said that right from the offset.
Yeah.
They didn't say it for a while.
Oh, they
They didn't
definitely
say
should
it
have
until
said
hour
that.
2:40 or whatever.
Because I'm already enraged by that point. Had they,
Why are we being so
it
repetitious?
would have bought them some grace with me, you know?
right
I
off the
would- yeah.
top. He's supposed to be here. He's got this. I guess he's got cancer. You know, like they said, hopefully he gets better. He's supposed to be here to have this debate, but he's not. So we decided just to go and have this conversation and then lead on. But it felt like something was going to be revealed, but I don't think anything was revealed. So if you ask anyone in your family, what do they think of Graham Hancock?
They're like, Graham who?
Same for you, man.
Graham Cracker?
I'm sure for me as well. Yet he feels like he's fighting against the forces around the world, and I feel like it's 6 people that disagree with
don't-
him.
yeah, it's
And
true.
he's just this martyr on a cross.
No, that's it. Listen, I'm sure there is a little bit of martyrdom to it, but there are a lot of like well-respected
A lot.
scientists. Yeah, a lot. Like
I'm sorry, I should let you finish. Who disagree with him and find him
every
disruptive.
single person who follows the timeline that we were taught in school, any academic, looks at Graham Hancock as like a quack. And not only that, a quack who has a massive audience. So the equivalent to us of like Logan Paul, you know what I mean? A danger.
A danger to their personal research and stuff.
Well, if you truly believe that what you're talking about is the truth, then that's a lie, right? Like, and you're worried about that lie being propagated to. Now, trust me, there are some people who know, like the Egypt guy, Zari Hawass. I think is his name. He's like the director of antiquities of Egypt. And he's the guy who like, he's staunch that 5,000 years, the Egyptians were the top of the food chain in, you know, intelligence, blah, blah, blah. He stops people from going and studying things in Egypt, not only disparages them. So yes, I mean, it happens.
And
I think Kamar's point is that it's like,
He's not being stopped in the airport.
it's like
that's
if
what
you have
mean.
10 nerds in the lunchroom and 9 of the nerds are like, we don't like this nerd. And then that nerd goes to the cool kids table and gets a seat and then still cares that he's like, you know, those guys over there, they were real mean to me.
I think
Like,
that's what I was trying to say.
Okay, here's what I totally get what both of you are saying. I think that Graham Hancock thought that once something like Göbekli Tepe came
that
around,
people would start coming around.
that he would be lauded by not only us and Joe Rogan fans, but by the academics also. And I think that he sees now that most probably
That's not going to happen.
he's going to die before he's ever respected. And like, obviously, I don't think he cares too much about money. He's not like a Jordan Peterson, I don't think, you know.
But let me ask you though, for such a smart guy, like this just dawned on me. He's much smarter than I am. And I just realized that like, if you look historically, the most respected people didn't get respect during their time. It took hundreds of years, 50 years, whatever, after their life for them to be like, holy shit, this guy knew way before.
Yeah.
So
We would have thought, though, Matt, that now in this time where information is so the reason people didn't become, you know, you couldn't know that he was right was because it took so long for information to come around, you know? Now, where everything's coming quicker,
no, I get it. My point is still like yeah, information still comes quickly, but gatekeeping has not gone away. It hasn't changed at all. It becomes easier for everyday people to access information, but it doesn't mean that the gatekeeping isn't still like a huge issue.
no, I mean, it's crazy that like something like Göbekli Tepe, which definitely does push every date back, still doesn't get talked about. It fucks up too many, like, you know, we would always joke about, oh, they'd have to reprint all the textbooks. It's a lot of textbooks. You know what I'm saying?
It won't be once we get rid of
It's not
textbooks.
just, yeah, the textbooks is a joke. I think it's more this idea of reformulating, what do you call it? What you teach people in school, curriculums, and just the whole.
I think it'd be interesting to break down how many people think the world is 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
And that's just what they think. How many people think about dinosaurs? Or what? That's a different group, though, right?
Well, you're bringing in a lot. What do you mean?
If you believe the world is 10,000 years old, you don't
Yeah.
believe in dinosaurs.
That's not true.
You can believe in dinosaurs.
Of course.
You just think they're-
Dinosaurs were hundreds of millions of years ago.
Okay, but how do you think that the Earth is 10,000 years old?
Sorry. Civilization is 10,000 years
10,000.
old. But those people think the planet is.
It's still 100 million.
So those are the
billion
dinosaurs.
years
There's
old,
people who
whatever
think
it
the
is.
planet is
10,000 years old.
10,000 years old.
That's what he's saying, yes.
That's a group. They're probably wrong, but
Yes.
it doesn't matter.
You
But
are
even
correct.
those people, like the super religious people who believe that they still believe in Adam and Eve and shit, that happened before 10,000 years ago, right?
No, there's a bunch of people that believe that Adam and Eve was 10,000 years ago.
Really? Yeah. Okay. That's weird.
All these things don't matter. What I was trying to get at is how many people are interested in, they don't actually know about the pyramids were made.
Like
Or-
if I go ask my dad right now, okay, a learned person, when do you think the pyramids were built? He's probably going to tell me whatever he was taught in school, whatever that number is, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago.
the thought of some sort of inexplicable technology, aliens, is not on the table. It was just pulleys and levers. That's his.
Simon, the problem is very simple. It's that none of us really care.
And that's where this all gets to.
What I'm saying is, if tomorrow Graham Hancock was proved right, if tomorrow CNN, Fox, every major news organization came out and said, we've just discovered definitively that the pyramids were made 30,000 years ago and that civilization is potentially 10, 20,000, most of us don't care. It doesn't make
To
the
what end? Unless
If they find a pyramid, do people care? Or is
No,
it
no,
no,
no
it's
one cares about a
just
thing.
nobody gives a fuck.
But
I mean, listen, does it have an I'm sorry, Kumar. Does it have an answer to one of life's problems? Then people care a great deal.
some technology revealed something
Yep.
that changes humanity, discovered in a
Okay,
crypt or
but
whatever.
we don't know that until we find it. That's the same argument with aliens. Like nobody's going to care because it's not going to change it. Well, maybe it will. We don't know until they get here.
But both sides have the fact that nobody knows. Besides carbon dating or these, I don't want to say rough, but weird ways to age stuff.
Well, they know.
They know what?
Okay, carbon dating can be wrong, okay, because they're dating like shit around the site because they can't date the stone. And let's say there's a couple of sticks and they date them and they're 10,000 years. It's not going to be any sooner than that, Kamar. They're at least giving you a date of this is the least old it could be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a perfect science.
It's like they can do the same thing with fucking ice.
Okay.
There's
Ice core samples.
and they can
yeah.
tell me this piece of ice is from 10,000, but they don't know.
Like Simon, I go
Yeah,
back to
sure.
it. I go back to
It works for both sides.
Okay.
Like if you told me that if they proved tomorrow definitively there were 5 million people in the Amazon however long ago, that's awesome. That's what I'm saying is for people like Kamar and I don't know that it moves the needle.
I mean, if that was the case, if there were these amazing civilizations that are nothing like what we thought they were, and we can go back and find some things that they did, that could potentially help us now.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is we've already found the pyramids.
And that's Graham Hancock's
know.
angle is these.
But
these
we don't
old-
even know what they're for. What if
That's
we
my point.
find out what they do?
My point is, you were like, what if they found another pyramid? My point is like, we already found one, and all we do is debate all the things around it. There's nothing, pardon my pun, set in stone as far as the pyramids are concerned.
You know
correct?
what the problem? Yes, for sure. The problem is that all of these places, they've all been reused throughout history. You know what I'm saying? So something gets built on something else.
Yeah.
People destroy things. And that's why we just never get, like, if we were able to find a civilization that was untouched, let's say, we might have a way better chance of finding something that would be useful to us. And listen, there are lots of things out there that people don't care about. You know what I mean? Like tons of people don't give a fuck about what you're interested in. I'm sure there are tons of people out there.
Yeah, you're
who
missing the
are
point. You're missing the
interested.
point. I don't expect the world to be interested in the bullshit that I am. You do.
I wish everyone was interested in Göbekli Tepe and was like, you didn't have to talk long before someone said, what do you think happened with the pyramids? But that just is not the case. I always try to regurgitate sound bites information from these podcasts, and I'm always surprised at how little the person cares.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, yeah. And that's why I say flat earth, to try to get a rise out of people and get some pushback, you know what I mean? But no one really cares.
Kamar does it like he's like, tits, now that I have your attention.
Speaking of nobody really cares, so Göbekli Tepe, huge, right? Like we've talked about this before. Massive site. They've only unearthed like 5%. It's kilometers long. They just found a new place called it's like Kiran Tepe or Kirian Tepe. It's another site in Turkey, and it's like 10 kilometers.
Okay, but
way bigger.
You see, here's my big issue again, though, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. I love that you have interests. No, see, you won't even let me start.
I think
My problem is
he feels ganged up on.
It doesn't matter. You just said Göbekli Tepe is however long. Okay, we discovered it when in the 80s, 90s.
I think they discovered it in 93, but it didn't get announced to the public until like 2000.
Doesn't matter when it got announced, but fine. So
Do you remember where you
just
were
hold on,
when
hold
it
on,
was
hold on.
announced?
So 93, they find the place, which is 30 years ago. And how much have they unearthed of it in 30 years?
5 or 10%.
So you're getting excited about this new 10-kilometer one they found that they will never unearth in your lifetime.
No,
correct? But do you see what I'm getting at, Simon?
I'm getting excited because the whole thing just kind of expands the story. You know what I mean? We thought that Göbekli Tepe was like this single site, and now you're finding out it was just one of like so many different things that were going on in Turkey, a place where they didn't give a lot of like.
The only thing that could be cool about
Credence
this, the
to
only
it.
thing that would be cool, and I doubt it'll happen in our lifetime, is if all the information from these sites can be fed into AI, and you could go and see what it was like in prime time. If all the carbon dating and everything, do you understand what I'm saying?
I like
That'd be interesting.
I personally, Bigfoot, alien, I like a good mystery. And this is just a good mystery. Like ancient civilizations, the idea that these things were built in ways that like just make zero sense.
But he
zero
said
sense.
he said in this Göbekli Tepe was buried.
Purposely.
That does that make sense to you?
Yes, it's so Kamar, we just talked about so like Rome, let's say. The Acropolis is, or Greece, the Acropolis is built on top of a much older thing by people who came, fought a war, destroyed and rebuilt. They didn't want that to happen to Göbekli Tepe. So instead of leaving it for people to find and ruin, they buried it.
Could you imagine that?
It seems insane.
It's insane.
It seems
How much did it
insane.
take to build it?
And then how much did it take to bury it? It's crazy.
I don't believe it.
But again, you don't know who buried it.
Well, they know at what time it was buried, so they're assuming.
Just the fact
Yeah,
that
but again, it's all assumptions.
I guess it could have
What I'm
been-
saying is,
yes,
to you,
yes,
Simon,
we'll
is,
never know. We'll never know.
well, no, it's not. We'll never know, Simon. Based on everything you already think you know, that could change tomorrow. It could change the day. All I'm saying
Yeah.
is like, my concern for you.
Nothing is getting younger, though.
Okay. How can I say this? I just think that in general, there's a good chance that you're never going to get the answers, that we're never going to have a technology that's going to be able to piece it all together, that's going to be able to say like let's say 50,000 years ago, there was an advanced civilization on Earth and they wiped themselves out, or they got wiped out by a big bang or whatever the fuck. Strong chance you're never going to get the answers you're looking for, that it's just wiped out, and that's life.
Well, I mean, that's life with pretty much everything, I imagine.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can't expect the general public to be excited about something they're probably never going to get the answer for.
I mean, yeah, I
Do
guess
you think
not.
I know you don't know, but when they buried Göbekli Tepe, they were like, and no one will ever find this.
Or maybe I have no idea. The burying part to me is
Or
crazy.
they were like they're gonna be so stoked when they find this.
I also got to say, all the lining up of the sun stuff seems odd to me, only because, like, we're advanced, and I know you're going to argue, like, well, you could be advanced in different ways, but, like, we don't tend to build things on any equinoxes anymore, because there's no point in the sense that, like, let's say you built something for the future, for, like, the next 15 generations, right? You're like, we want them to enjoy this. There's a certain point where the equinox is going to be off. The axis of the earth is going to be, like you said, like Stonehenge no longer lines up, right? Perfectly to where.
yeah.
So all I'm saying is advanced to a certain level. Like, I get it. They could move big stone, and you think they did it with their minds or music or whatever the fuck.
And so little distractions. Really, the only show in town was the stars. Like we as a people know much less about the stars, unless you're a scientist. Then
No, he's saying why line it up to the stars if you know that
If you know in 1,000 years,
there's whatever they call that where it shakes a
Yeah.
little bit and causes the
and they would know that because they're so advanced.
well, no, I made the argument earlier. I said it doesn't advancement, like how a civilization becomes advanced can vary. We just look at ours like this is how it has to be done. It doesn't have to be that way.
and this is 10,000 years, right? Like if we're just
Well, it could be 30, it could be 40. You don't know. That's my point, right?
we know that 10,000 years ago there was a massive cataclysmic whatever
thought it was
that
12 or
caused
15.
12 whatever it
Sure.
was 12,000 years ago. So fine, let's even say 15. Let's say 20. You know what I mean? Like in the big scheme of things, it's nothing. There could have been so many reincarnations of civilizations along the way, and the stuff we're finding that is pushing back even 100,000 years ago could be like really recent shit in the big scheme of things. Like, we just assume that we understand. And again, who cares, I guess, but who cares about anything? Like, if you're not interested in the origins of our planet, like,
But you're not interested in the origins of our planet. You want to know just these ancient civilizations. You don't give a shit about the origins of our planet.
No, I'm
Like, you hate space and you hate fucking
no,
carbon.
I don't care about that stuff. But the origins of our planet, meaning who was on here, who was living here. I like all of that stuff. I like the idea of the prehistoric people.
It's not that I don't like the idea of it. What I don't like is that in my lifetime, whatever I think is right will be proven wrong, and then whatever I think that is right will be proven wrong, and that's kind of how
I know, but like, why? So I just don't understand what you read books.
Okay.
Like, nobody's asking you to like give any money. Nobody's asking you to like, I don't know, give any time to learn. You have to listen to Graham Hancock once in a while. You know what I mean?
I'm not mad about that. I'm just saying, again,
Well,
I don't.
You seem mad.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
You haven't seen anything yet. I feel like Graham Hancock thinks there's some sort of thing with Atlantis and the pyramids. But we had that other guy that said it was way over. Didn't we have that guy
Yeah,
that
Corsetti.
was on Joe Rogan? Like,
Yeah.
who said it's not there? It exists, but somewhere else.
Well, where did the Hancock say it was?
I think he's saying Egypt is Atlantis. No?
I don't know about that.
Okay. He says there's millions and millions and millions of people in the rainforest, but he really doesn't know that. He wants there to be.
Well, they're finding huge cities. I think you wouldn't just have like empty cities. That doesn't make any sense.
It's interesting that they're finding these through deforestation.
Yeah.
LiDAR helps.
LiDAR helps.
But that's how they find a ton of shit, right? Like, people are built. I think Graham talked about it. People building like highways and stuff, and that's
Under something.
yeah. They run into
Not looking
the
for
tip
it.
of a pyramid, or
But he claims that locals knew about temples and stuff that were revealed. That they shouldn't know.
well, I mean, that's the part of like. So we have all these indigenous people who live in Canada. We really have no idea what Canada was like before we got here. We look to them for information and then totally discount everything they say. You know what
And
I mean?
there may be something, or there isn't something, because this was all just a sheet of ice back when all these pyramids were being built.
Sorry, what?
We have indigenous people,
Yeah.
just like these indigenous people.
Yeah, it was
But-
not a sheet of ice. No, not at the same time as the pyramids were being built.
But there's no pyramids in all of Canada.
Yes,
Oh,
there
okay, then,
definitely
okay.
are.
I don't
And
want to
our civilizations here are now being shown to go back, like, before they thought it was Clovis 10,000 years ago, it's pushed way back. Like,
Yeah, if there's just some sort of practicality that could come from it, I could sink my teeth into a bit more. Like an alien ship, technology to build something. His angle is to save the planet, I guess. He thinks of the stewards of the earth who
but
made,
like, your guys' opinion is they found the pyramids, it's the best we have, and anything after that we find is like less impressive. So
No, my opinion is they found the pyramids. There's some chamber they just discovered. That, like, I want them to tear the pyramids apart.
Yeah, like, Simon, how does that not bother you? When did they find the pyramids and they're still like, this is the point I'm getting at, is your excitement, your childlike wonderment at this is, it's great. I am happy that you found something so exciting. Why you don't understand why we don't find it as exciting.
I
think I'm impatient. I just want more.
understand. I don't understand how's anybody, not just you. It's not you and Kumar. It's how anybody can stare at one of these like things that don't make any sense and they're just like, well, just another unexplained part of history. Like, no, that's not good enough for me. I don't know. That's just me.
like I said, there's a hidden chamber that they just discovered.
That's because Zawi Hawass is a fucking piece of shit, and he will not let anybody do any work on that stuff because he knows that when they look inside, they're going to find out that everything that they believe is wrong.
And that's the problem. Yeah, well, I want to look inside, and I want that to happen.
Yeah.
Before I die.
It probably won't.
The Zodiac came before the Greeks. I don't know what that means.
Means that they didn't invent the
But
ram and the sheep and the
certain people who think of timelines think the Greeks invented the Zodiac.
Well,
You know what's funny too is I always said, like, if you look at what they give us as the Zodiac, you're like, how do you see a ram in that? But I bet if there's no light and the sky is lit up, it probably looks a little bit more.
And and I don't know, their drawings were just bad as well.
Well, there's that too, yeah.
Or not.
Well, yeah, and I wonder just how much, like, if you were like a goat people,
Yeah.
you're gonna find goats places, right?
If you're goat, people say,
Like if you're a goat culture and you have gods that you think are goats, well, then you're gonna find goats in the stars.
Gotcha,
and
yeah.
Somebody else is gonna see that as a rhinoceros.
But are you going
or
to see
whatever the
scales in the stars?
what's really ironic if you think about it too is if I put a sheet of paper down right here and I put 10,000 dots on it in random spots, you could draw whatever the fuck you wanted attaching,
Yeah.
right? Like
exactly.
there's
Yeah.
there's no limit to what you can
Yeah.
draw using those dots if you're
The way that becomes more interesting is if, I guess that was just information that getting passed down and passed down and passed down about what those constellations were. So nobody was making up the fact that it was a goat. It just had always been a goat. And then you end up somewhere at some guy who either knows something or doesn't know something that's beginning it all. He's either
it's
the
always
guy
been a goat.
who made it a goat in the first place, or it's always been a goat. Exactly.
The Sphinx is not Egyptian or from the Egyptians. It's in Egypt.
Maybe they're not sure. But
It used to have a lion head because we know Egyptians are mad about proportion.
yeah,
They don't draw
amazing.
stuff out of proportion.
When they do a face, dude, it's like they make the rules of making faces off the way they made faces.
But someone showed up, saw the Sphinx, and then built the pyramids, or the other way around?
Okay, so the Sphinx is a rock that was there in the first place to start. Okay, it wasn't like the pyramids where they cut stone and brought
Quarried.
it. It was one giant stone that
Mountain.
stood in the middle of, at that point, it would have been the
Lush
savannah or
rainforest.
something. Either way, it's crazy, right? Whether it's in the middle of a desert or it's in the middle of the jungle, when you come across a rock
Or the
that's
bottom of
that
the ocean.
big, probably all cultures would have thought it was something special. Eventually, they carved it. He's saying that in whatever dynasty that was.
But what do you mean a rock that big?
Just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like if you like
A rock that big, it was probably moved by like a glacier or something and just left
no, but my
there.
point is like a rock that big you could just mistake for a mountain. Like if I carve the Sphinx into the side of a mountain, do you call that a rock?
No,
The mountain is not a rock. It's just made of rock.
it's a mountain. This rock is standing on its own, but I think it would also have been really different because there was nothing else around it. There were no other giant rocks around it. There were no. I'm imagining when people first came across that rock.
Sure,
You
I'm
know
just
what
saying there's giant rocks standing alone all over. Like the U.S. has.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying it's anything special. I'm saying that's how they would have come across it in the first place. The same way there's that giant rock in Australia. People think it's a mountain, but it's just a giant rock. Ayers Rock.
Yeah,
You
I
know
know
which
what
one
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about,
about there? We have them all over Canada and America because of the glacier, those glaciers that came down. Point is, they came across that rock on its own. They must have thought that giant rock, even the first people, it was something special. You know what I'm saying? Before they even carved anything, they probably, maybe it even had the shape
But
of.
hold on, but you're also making big assumptions there, correct? You're filling in blanks where you want to. There might have been nothing special about it. Like to assume that. Listen, if your argument is these people were super advanced,
Well, it's definitely on a ley line.
that's fine. But I have a tough time. Like, just hear me out. If you're super advanced, I have a tough time believing that you find a giant rock in the middle of nowhere and you find special value in it.
Well, the very first people who came across it, I don't know if they were really advanced or if they came across that rock and then built their whole civilization around carving. Who knows, man? Listen, what they think, what the people think is that these people would have come across a normal rock, given it some value, some religious value, whatever it was back then they carved it to look like a... This is where you were going, Kamar? They carved it to look like a lion?
Originally, and then it got redone by the Egyptians.
That's right.
So I'm just putting that together.
So then the sands came over and it was just the head, I think, that they found of this lion. And it must have been really eroded by the weather, but everything else was buried. And then they recarved the face in like the third dynasty or the second dynasty or something.
Allegedly.
Well, no, they definitely recarved the face.
But we don't know what tools they use to do it.
We don't know what tools they use to do any of that.
We don't know
stuff.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we don't know anything.
I mean, even to say to recarve the face, like
Recarve was a weird way.
let's say the head that they first built, like I'm not saying they weren't advanced enough to build the Sphinx, but I'm saying you can be advanced in the way that you move stone and cut stone, but you might not be advanced in the way like we use rebar, right? That's how we make sure that our stone structures stay intact. A giant head on top of a statue without any sort of support in it may, after a certain amount of time, crumble. Like it might have just crumbled, and then the next people came along.
Yeah, sure.
And then just said,
that might
why don't we
happen.
carve a new head on it? Because it's already, I mean, that,
Yeah. Well, how is that different than what I said?
I don't know what you said. I wasn't listening. I never listen when you talk anymore.
Okay.
Well, I
get-
do what you do. I
was
tune
thinking,
out when you
like,
talk.
If the pyramids were built over 1,000 years, like from the inception to the last piece, it's sort of less impressive.
Is it really?
If it was made in a year, it's impressive that it took 1,000 years of commitment to stick with it.
No,
But if
it's impressive the scale. The time. Listen,
well, over 1,000 years, is it?
yes, Kamar.
Well, what will we build when we're done? From
What are you talking about? We still can't figure out how to move most of those stones.
okay, would someone from there just be amazed by the sphere? Like I'm using that now as a modern.
Yes, they would be
Marvel thing that
amazed
we've
by
created.
the sphere.
Well, hold on. Would they if the lights were off?
Maybe
still
not if the lights were off.
big
I'm
black
talking
ball?
about if it was being used.
I mean, they might be surprised, but like if it's, they might be amazed at the fact that you could build a sphere.
But that's
'Cause
not
maybe
going to
a s-
last. That's going to be gone in
gonna rust away.
1,000 years. Those things aren't made to last. Longevity isn't their purpose. You know what I mean?
We got another appearance of Homino Lady, and
that was coming.
Sorry, just one second. I wonder how they made that earthquake safe.
we
Like,
talked about this
isn't
last week.
Vegas on a fault?
We talked about this last week.
We did?
I mean, you just
They have
build
engineers,
You
there's
just build it on
math.
those platforms. That
Gotta
I know,
love
but
give.
it has no like
No, but
joists.
isn't
you
a
know what I'm
circle
saying?
like the strongest shape? Well, what are we talking about here?
yeah, he's right. Like
I think
two
a pyramid
arcs.
is the strongest shape.
No, the arc is the strongest shape.
Because its force is pushing.
An arch? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. What did I say? An arc?
An arc, yeah.
Oh, you suck
the-
my dick, Simon.
The only thing that gives credit for me to Graham Hancock is that he is the victim of ad hominem attacks. As we've seen historically, when you have nothing solid to say, you call him a racist or whatever. So that's in his favor.
Well, and what's the racism thing? Is that
I have
the whole...
Because remember,
it's
he
six
said-
people that
he
don't like
said-
one
Remember, he
person.
said he was like some of these like he found like writings or something, and he was like they might have been firsthand accounts from white people, and people were just livid about that. That was his.
Right, because the right, I remember. Because there's a whole like people call ancient aliens racist because they're saying, well, the colored people of the time would never be able to do this. They needed help from aliens. And I really don't think that's their contention. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it matters what color the people were. They're assuming that even white people needed help from aliens.
Even us whites.
You want to know what's in here? Something interesting I just found out. The Highland Mountains in Scotland and Ireland, that mountain range is the same mountain range as the Adirondacks. Because when the world was together, it's just so neat to think about. Like,
That's probably
totally
before,
different sides of the world. Not really,
but at
still
one time
long
we're the
different.
same side.
We're right together,
And
same
do you
mountain
think there were
range.
civilizations then?
I mean, I do, but who knows, man?
Graham Hancock has no time for religion.
Zero time.
Zero time for religion.
And that's so odd to me because, look at Miriaku there, the immortality key guy. Marasco there. His whole thing is based on religions actually starting with the psilocybin and all of this. Like, it sounds like at the beginning, they all had it right. It was just over time that it got. So maybe it's modern religion he hates so
No,
much.
I think his problem is that religion was based on psychedelic experiences that have nothing to do with. I think that's his argument.
What do you mean?
Well, that like he's done psychedelics and that he understands that if you did psychedelics like without a great understanding of what we know now, that you could assume that the bush was talking to you, or that, all that sort of stuff kind of goes out the window when you know what you know now and you throw psychedelics on top of it. I think his point is like, if someone had just created religion, saw psychedelics, like, Moses came down and spoke to me, or God came down and spoke to me, he has less of a problem with that. But when you're like, well, I did a bunch of mushrooms, then God came and spoke to me, I think maybe his point is that's less of a religious experience. I know you're going to disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Oh, I'm just like, he wrote the foreword for Miriescu's book.
Graham did.
Yeah. So, I mean, he obviously agrees with this idea that mushrooms and drugs formed what we look as religion today.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he doesn't have, you can, the
You're just
two are mutually
pondering that he
exclusive.
says he has no time for religion.
What he's saying is like, yeah, that's fine. I agree that modern religion came from people getting super fucked up and seeing things. But his whole contention, I believe, is that he's like, I see those things too, but it has nothing to do with religion. It's the drugs making you feel a certain way. And again, I think for him, it's like there are powers beyond us, but it has nothing. It's not a religious thing. It's the universe at work or whatever. Because he does not like religion.
Yeah, modern religion. I think that's what he meant to say, because we just really like, maybe that's what religion was way back in the day. Exactly what you just said.
No,
he
because
had time for Buddhism and certain stuff.
But Simon, that early Testament shit is like the worst of the Bible. If you want to talk about early religion,
I'm talking about before
Christianity.
Judaism, before Christianity, whatever those
But
things
hold on,
are
but-
based off of. They didn't just come out of nowhere. They were.
how can you say that though? But now you're doing assumptions,
Okay.
right? Well, no, but
I am assuming.
Okay,
I am
fair enough,
assuming
yeah.
that if there was civilization before,
Mm-hmm.
they would have come to get. Religion might have been a totally different thing, and maybe over time got totally changed from what it was. But the idea of people getting together and believing the same thing, well, I mean, that just seems like a human thing to me. I could be wrong.
I'm glad you brought up rescue. So if you brought the forward, it just seems like there's a lack of consensus.
Between those two guys?
Maybe not. And the guy who is more of a quack that we referenced earlier about Atlantis. I mean, these people are counter or fringe to the accepted historians.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I just said?
No?
But that's how history works. You're always fringe until they prove it. Am I wrong?
I
And
guess
there are lots of people out there doing what
there's
Graham
lane, in this
Hancock
lane.
does.
So, but Graham Hancock, he doesn't care if he's the one or wants to be the one. Does he want to be referenced like in who is his hero?
Indiana Jones.
Terrence.
McKenna?
Guys don't agree? He has a reverence for
Okay.
Terrence McKenna.
But even Terrence McKenna doesn't get like a lot of respect. Most people look at him as a kook.
I just like to know if Terrence McKenna was alive, he was like, this Graham Hancock's an asshole. Or if he totally liked him. They'd probably get along. I think the reason why he has no time for religion, because a lot of pushback to his theories come from religion because they would counter their story.
Sorry, repeat that?
His saying things are different could go against some narratives from religions, the Catholic Church or whatever. What they say history is, he says history is. So they're not friends.
Him in the Catholic Church.
And I think, and more established religions.
But Maresco is friends with the Catholic Church.
Well, he's got a
he
good
has access to
relationship
the
with them.
Vatican.
Well, remember too, like he wrote the foreword to that book. I think he likes what that guy's up to, but like that guy's never done any. He's never done mushrooms. He's never done DMT. Like I'm sure they roll in different fucking groups.
That's
you know
also
what
interesting
I mean?
as well because Graham has done lots of drugs.
All the drugs, yeah.
yeah, but what does that have to do? So you think that because he does drugs and Brian Marasco doesn't, they
I think
roll
there
in
are
different crews?
certainly different crews of people. Oh, no, some of them are big into the whole. Anyways,
I'm listening.
I think they roll in different crews. I think Marescu is not the same group as like Graham Hancock and fucking.
I like the idea that they're all
Randall
at a
Carlson.
fucking. They're all at some gathering at the Hilton, and Graham Hancock rolls up with his crew. They're all wearing bomber jackets.
Well, it
that
just
say
seems like they have such.
fucking-
It's such.
Go back, Lake Tepe.
Anti-history boys.
They have such common ground,
yeah.
and it's so easy to communicate with people now. They must all know of each other.
Like Mariescu has zero time for people moving things with their mind. Graham Hancock's huge on that, and yet they come together on certain things. I just don't know if those two guys are like best friends. Let's put it that way.
Or if they can't agree, there will be no hope. I think that's what I was trying to say. All these different people who are challenging the status quo,
It's just all people picking away at the wall.
just
you know?
creating little lanes to talk about mysteries that no one has to explain and you get paid.
Okay, listen, trust
that's a
me, I
great
don't think
point.
anybody is making a ton of money off of this. You know what I mean?
I think
Really? I
these
would
guys
disagree.
are making their life off of this.
Most of these guys who write books, like, I don't think books are a hugely lucrative.
but the book has to say something controversial to be lucrative.
I'm just
Again,
curious.
I don't
Simon.
even think that if you say something controversial, it's lucrative.
The guy didn't print enough copies. It's so
Yeah, they printed 1,000 copies and then it sold 10,000.
So
Like
so that says this is a fringe book. No, okay.
Nobody
fair enough,
reads fucking books
fair
anymore.
Enough, fair enough. I withdraw. I don't think Graham should talk about politics, but he
I agree.
dipped into it. There's no need. He's
Well,
got-
hold on,
you're a
hold
Brit.
on.
Talk about your own politics.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We're Canadian. We talk about American
We're
politics.
right next door.
Listen, I'm going to give him a break. Hold on. What he said was, I think talking about politics is a bit of a stretch. He was like, I don't think any one of the leaders right now currently are fit to be leaders, at least in my eyes. And then he said, for me, I would like a leader to be this. I don't know that that's delving
I
deep.
think everyone agrees with that. That's like saying
Like you're acting like he came out and was like, Donald Trump is one of the worst human beings. He didn't say that. He was
no.
just,
I feel like Joe didn't ask him what he thought. He just again, the fault here is that this is the debate.
They didn't have any structure.
That's
that
it.
was
That's
the
it.
problem.
And so they got
and
into
that's why
drugs.
nobody got what they wanted. That's why Matt's angry. That's why you're angry.
I'm not angry. It's just
I wasn't angry. I actually thought this was the best. I honestly
I won't
thought
say
this was
that.
the best Graham Hancock we ever got. I realized that we didn't get anything new. Nothing was brought to the table. I'm just saying that as far as him and his attitude, and he seems a lot more at peace with like his situation. If
It's-
that makes sense.
It does. It's so funny though because I don't think I'm like a Graham Hancock guy. I love
If
what he
if someone-
talks about. If he's not talking about things that I'm into,
Okay.
I find him a pompous douche.
Interesting.
He's
Okay.
not my dude. You know what I mean?
That changes everything.
So for this episode, when they're talking about nothing, like not, I mean, there were a couple of little tidbits in there that I'm sure you won't get to, but there was like most of the time I was just annoyed by him.
Fair enough.
You were just sitting there telling me something I don't know.
Well, and it's like when people talk about things that aren't in their lane, coming
Yeah.
from people who talk about things that aren't in their lane
Yeah.
every week for 5 years now. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think about politics. I don't care what Graham Hancock thinks about space travel. I care what he thinks about the things that he knows about. You know
No,
what
and
I
that's
mean?
fair enough. I'm just saying that, like, him saying, I don't think any of the leaders of the major nations right now are true leaders and are doing a good job. Like, I don't know that that's
No, I mean, that's probably pretty self-explanatory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just felt like he was talking and he just lashed out because he could, and he's allowed to do so. I think we should teach that the experience you have on Earth is training for the afterlife.
Why do you think we should teach that? You want to teach that something that you are completely uncertain of?
That we can't prove. It just be I guess that's what religions are.
That's
I
what
was just going to
religion
say,
is.
you are religious, Kamar. You just haven't started
and there's
picking
a
up the Bible yet.
reason why they took that out of the curriculum.
Or because you die, lights out, worm food.
That is what I believe,
Yeah.
but I can't prove it,
Of
just
course-
like you.
Of course you can. I just think we should go with.
And you know what? I don't believe that anybody believes what they believe until they're faced with a mortal end. And then we find out what everybody believes. And I'm saying me too. I can talk a lot of shit until you're on your deathbed. That's when you really decide what you believe.
I guess we should start a religion. I just think it'd be comforting to think everything that happens here.
He's just explaining religion. Like you're not talking about it. That's what all the religions are.
Well, no,
They're all to make you feel better about dying.
He said, I believe the experience. Graham Hancock said this.
I also think
I'm
Simon,
not coming up with my own idea.
I also think, Simon, they're designed to make you at death feel like all the shitty stuff you may have done is like forgiven. Because that's a big part of religion too.
Well,
right?
yeah,
Well, at least
you gotta be
Christianity.
able to get to heaven.
Well, no, but it's just the idea that like your sins are forgiven no
like
matter
you have
what.
to
Anyway,
clear
as
your
long as you believe this, then whatever ill you did during your life, because I'm sure there's a lot of people on their deathbed that are like, "Fuck, I hurt people. I did this. I did that. I wish I could go back and change that." I mean, it's tough for me to believe that most people live a life where they're like, "Oh, I didn't fuck someone over." You know what I mean? And I think that's part of it is like that on your deathbed. There, if you're religious, you can say, "Well, I wiped the slate clean. I'm fine." So even if there is nothing after this. I mean, listen, Kamar, if you think that I'm happy that this is it, that we just fucking live this useless life and then we die and there's nothing after, that's the most morbid shit ever.
But
I know, but all you have to do is just change your fucking opinion. Like, it's
Lie to
just
yourself.
that easy.
you've
I
got
lie to myself about other things.
And you have no interest to do it. So it's obviously not that big a deal to you.
Well, it isn't.
Not now. That's what I'm saying. Once you're closer to the end, I think it becomes a bigger deal. And I think as you get older and older,
we'll have to revisit this when you're 80.
he's so young.
Yeah,
Once you come close to 50 and you start
Once
seeing
you
your
have-
own mortality,
once you have
You know what's
less
funny?
sunsets
You know what's
than
funny?
you've
This
seen.
guy's like 4 years older than me, and he says this, and then he talks about near death. I've been in a coma, and he's like, "Well, that's not a coma. You weren't in a coma. You weren't even hurt."
I don't think Simon would have a pot to piss in if he could grow a full beard.
That's great. See, and then he just takes a shot at me for no reason.
when you were in your coma, do you have any recollection of anything? Did you have any thoughts in your coma?
Nope.
You didn't come out knowing any truths, no nothing, no zero.
Aren't you a 45-year-old with a roommate?
Oh,
I'm just curious if we're doing this. I was just curious. I'm just trying to figure it out here.
You acknowledge you have the fullest beard.
Oh, no.
I didn't realize such a sensitive spot.
Oh, I just thought we were doing this now. We can't,
3 roommates.
okay. That makes it worse.
No, but I'm a semi-professional comedian, so it's
True.
I'm actually doing well.
you do
in
have that.
space.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, back to your coma. 0.
Yeah, and that's part of that's.
There's
I know
years
you're.
upon
I know.
years, too.
I know you're not going to like this, but that is why I'm like I think it's just lights out. And I know you're going to
Yeah,
say
but
you
you
weren't
weren't
dead.
dead.
I understand that.
You were not dead.
Fair enough.
There's a huge difference
Yeah, there
between
is.
a medical coma and lights out.
Yes, I realize that. I'm not
Like, you're-
oblivious to that.
When you're
But
in
I
a
can-
coma, your soul doesn't leave your body. Oh,
Sure, but I could argue I've been closer to death than you.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Well,
I
then
I think I was,
I'm just
I think I
saying,
was
like-
just trying to say you're young looking.
I don't think I was arguing.
And that's
And
why
I was just
talks
trying to
to
say
like
that you live with good people.
oh, I
and
see.
you.
Because I said 50 is closer to death.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, you okay? So your bullshit makes sense, but mine is ridiculous.
Do you think, based on the experiences you've had with mushrooms, that sort of pushes with your idea of just
No,
nothing
because
else
my
out
experience
there?
with mushrooms is not that like, oh, after this I get to go somewhere better. It's just that there's probably things I can't see on this earth, and we know that to be a fact. That's
fine.
Listen,
I think DMT might be different for that than mushrooms. You
I
know
agree
what
with
I
that
mean?
too. Yeah.
Like mushrooms, even
Everyone has a different mushroom experience. You might have similarities, whereas what you describe with DMT, everyone feels the same thing, right? By and large, the
But-
geometric shapes, the
Ever since I did DMT, mushrooms are a little bit different. I just think it's the same thing with DMT. Like, who is doing this? I mean, like maybe you haven't had a crazy trip when you more you close your eyes and you actually see images or something. DMT, I think you see things that you've never imagined before or seen. So where's this coming? What memories is coming from? And I was just wondering, maybe that could happen a couple times.
Oh, that's a good point, though. When you're on mushrooms, you don't see anything that you haven't seen before.
Yes.
Whereas
It's
DMT, you'd
also
be
the-
seeing almost like a realm that you're not a part of, which is
Whatever you're
interesting.
saying, it's so hard to describe. It's like just
because when
describing
I did
dreams.
mushrooms, I never like I would close my eyes, but I would never spend like an hour with my eyes shut,
Really,
awake.
you never been by yourself on mushrooms? It's like-
I have,
always just
but I was
and
like,
realize your
painting
eyes were
and
shut for
shit.
10 minutes?
I was just gonna say, like for me, mushrooms always just like
Social.
almost like weed. Like it just accentuated everything. Like what I loved about mushrooms was the DVD vision.
Clear.
Yeah, how everything was funny. Like I always like laughing. So for me,
I think these are just different doses. Like I don't think I've ever done a dose of mushrooms that would come close to like what these guys are talking about.
You've never done 3.5 grams.
I have, but it just wasn't like
I think you were so young though. It's just
I got
different.
like I was super fucked up one time where people's faces were like fucking melting and shit was crazy, but like I think
didn't
that's
make you think
different.
there's an
than-
afterlife.
Yeah, I never even contemplated afterlife while I was doing mushrooms.
I mean, mushrooms are a weird one too. Like growing up with weed, like you could see weed and be like, that weed looks great, smell it, be like, that weed smells great, smoke it, and then you're like, I'm so high. Versus this other weed where you're like, didn't look great, I
You
smoked
guys
it.
haven't done them in like 5 years, maybe more.
Sorry, can you get to the end
I
of
do
that?
mushrooms all the
You're-
time, but
You're
I was-
saying that
Microdosing.
some mushrooms are better than others.
Well, I
Dose.
had never thought about it when I was young. I just assumed you got mushrooms and they all did the same. But like,
No.
you know, like I did one night when we were young, I did like 7 grams of mushrooms. Now I didn't grab 7 grams and throw them in my mouth. I did like a gram, didn't feel anything after an hour, ate 2 more, waited an hour, didn't feel anything, ate 2, you know what I mean? I've seen people eat like a gram of penis envy and be like, call a fucking ambulance.
Yes,
So
yes,
like,
yes.
I assume that if you did 7 grams of penis envy, like you might go to the fucking moon and back. I don't know.
The most
No
fucked
desire
up,
for that.
The
No.
most fucked up I ever got on mushrooms, Kamar, the craziest trip of my life was from these hydroponic mushrooms grown by
Someone we know.
someone that our friend knows there. I
think I know.
RL. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't think it matters.
I'll tell you later. And he was like a crazy pharmaceutical like genius dude, and he had obviously grown like a real special set of mushrooms because they were so different than anything I had ever done.
I mean, I remember back in the day, someone gave me like a gram of chocolate mushrooms. They had like a cooler, and they were like, "Do you want to buy a gram of chocolate mushrooms?" And I was like,
Those are the best things in the world.
"Dude, that was the highest I've ever been on mushrooms. That 1 gram of chocolate mushrooms. Like I remember walking through the Glebe all night with Danny, just fucked. Like,
Who knows what that when
Yeah,
you
you're
can't
right. I mean,
see
yeah.
the mushrooms, weigh the mushrooms.
yeah,
like,
might not have even been mushrooms. I might have gotten fucking PCP.
it also might have been 10 grams of mushrooms.
true,
Like,
yeah.
you just don't even know.
In any event, I was going to say it in the they should have psychedelic hospices for sure.
It's
for
coming.
sure,
It's coming
for sure.
That is absolutely coming.
I was going to talk about the post, Joe, but it applies here. Did you hear about the story this week? An Alaskan Airlines pilot. If you're a pilot and you're off duty, sometimes you'll hop on a plane and to get a ride somewhere.
Yeah. They have the cabin in the bottom. Yeah.
Well, no, he was sitting in the cab with the other pilots.
Okay.
He said, I'll hitch a ride with you boys.
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
He's a pilot.
Yeah, I know, but I still think you're supposed to be in
No,
like
but in the smaller
staff seats.
planes, they might not have an option.
Okay.
Anyways, go on.
This is what happened.
Okay.
And he's in the plane and they're flying and he turns off the engines or attempts to turn off the engines.
Why?
I don't know why, but they subdued him or whatever, landed the plane, and it came out that he had done mushrooms 48 hours prior and hadn't slept for 40 hours.
Okay.
And I just saw it as this is one of those acid stories. Like this is a pushback. I don't know why they had to mention, because we all know mushrooms, 48 hours later, you shouldn't be feeling anything. They should be having no effect on you. Maybe.
Well, why the fuck did that guy do that?
Well, hold on. When I do mushrooms, the come down is terrible. I also
2 days later, yeah.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it's different for everyone. I'm saying that me personally, I can't sleep when I'm on mushrooms. I have a tough time sleeping anyway. I can't sleep when I'm on mushrooms, and the come down is tough. I could see that if this guy had it 10 times worse than me, I could see him being up for 2 days and being like, "This isn't worth living," and I'm going to kill fucking 50
That's
people.
exactly why you're not supposed to be in the cabin. There's a locked door. Like there are all
the
sorts
locked
of
door is
rules
for
after
terrorists.
9/11. It's for anybody. You're not supposed to be like the stewardesses don't go in
the
there.
stewardesses go in there.
They go in there to serve food, maybe, but they don't sit up there with the pilots.
Okay, but it's another pilot, Simon.
He's not the pilot of that plane. There's zero reason why he should be in the cockpit.
My point was that down the road, when they say psychedelic hospices, will know this guy, mushrooms are not safe. Using this as a case study to push back against mushrooms. Time will only tell.
Or they're just trying to look for a reason why this guy might have freaked out and tried to crash a plane.
Hey, yeah, that's possible. He's been charged with the 83 counts of attempted murder.
If you had found fucking
83.
cocaine in his system from 2 days ago, you would be like, did this have something to do with it? Because what caused this normal guy to...
And maybe he just had an adverse reaction. I would just be dismayed if that is used as a case to push back. Whoa on your psychedelics here. It's not all rosy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that in... I don't like that look. You can close your eyes. In our country, we're already like well on our way to legalization of mushrooms. So
Okay, about this. In 6 months from now, if that comes up, I'm right.
Yeah, sure.
okay.
I hope it doesn't happen. When the story came out,
Sorry, did you hear this on Jimmy Dore? You seem really adamant about this point, so I assume you got it from
it was
somewhere.
on CBC, CNN. It was just a news story. The news story happened, and then 2 days later, it came back. They mentioned the mushrooms. I understand what you're saying, that if he was drunk, they're not going to stop serving alcohol. It occurred to me that they mentioned mushrooms, and maybe that's what's going to happen.
It's
Maybe
funny,
not.
Because my whole thing is, I hear that story and I'm like, why is he in the cockpit?
Yeah.
His whole thing is, why are they talking about the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yep, 2 different movies. You guys have no experience with migraines?
I have migraines, and my dad gets really bad.
So what
migraines.
Graham described...
Nothing like that. That sounds like fucking. I'm surprised he hasn't.
I was thinking it's because he's so full of shit. His brain just is pushing out.
I experienced them not as bad as him for like 3 years after my stay in the hospital. But nothing like, it wasn't like 2 days in bed where I couldn't see light. But I will say, like, if you have a really bad migraine, it does feel crippling. Like you're just like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get a headache if I'm super hungover and dehydrated, but
Sometimes I get these headaches, and if I like cough the tiniest little bit,
Yeah.
it sends these like
oh, dude, that cough will roll through your head for like 20 minutes.
waves of torture, and like you just can't take enough Tylenol to make it go away.
for
you know?
hours.
It lasts for a long time. I don't know. And then usually I'll go to sleep and it'll be gone. But sometimes I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up in the morning and I cough and it's still there. I'm like, holy fuck, man.
The coolest thing they talked about, in my opinion, is the study to map the DMT world. Because if everyone does it and it's very similar, they're going to like take all these experiences where they're doing it for an hour or something, and maybe have another. it'd be the same as the map of the universe we have now. Like, you can't
It's a
go
neat,
there.
it's
see
a
that.
neat idea.
I think it's a
for
super
sure.
neat idea.
It's crazy, eh, Joe? We forget that it's Sober October. Like you really saw it during the Racka Racka Boys, but in this one, Graham's like, yeah, and they offered us this. You and I can get a free session, zero reaction.
Well, no, they
a
wanted him to participate in the study.
I
Probably
think
to get.
I don't think so. I think they just were offering him a free session of this 1 hour DMT experience intravenously. Probably because they want to get more people to do it, and it's good to have
It doesn't matter if they're famous or not.
celebrities involved. You know,
Gets me so hard when Simon says intravenously.
So yeah, he invites Joe to the DMT studies. Elon Media offered $1 billion to change Wikipedia to Dickopedia.
Yeah, I think that's
And
fun.
Graham Hancock, I've never seen a more slanderous website in my life. Power on, Elon.
Kamar, back to the idea of mapping the DMT world. I love the idea that like 10 years from now, it could be like earlier today, Starbucks opened its first location in the DMT world.
Well, that
you know what I mean?
initially
You're up there like, look at the fucking, oh, you know what? I need an ice cap too.
that's initially what the metaverse sort of sounded like
Yeah.
it was being when
Yeah.
all those people were buying properties and stuff.
well, that would be a whole different thing, eh? If the metaverse was really just like you had to take DMT to get there.
Well, that'd be interesting.
So they would just make like a chip, like Elon's chip, but it would be like a slow dose
Yeah, so you just
DMT
drip.
to get you into that world. That's so
But
interesting.
you're just sitting on a
right?
couch.
But you're just
as
sitting
you're
on a
traveling,
couch.
yeah.
Exactly.
Getting fat.
Exactly. No, that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and okay, so they're talking about the DMT dreams, where you can't remember your dreams. That's a very weird thing.
I can't. Apparently, I woke Halima up last night. She's like, "You woke me up last night to tell me about one of your dreams. I have zero recollection of this." And I'm like, "What was it?" She's like, "I can't remember."
and probably what
Like, well,
what you said was
why didn't you write
nonsense.
it down? I obviously told you because I wanted you to make a note.
There is nothing less interesting than someone else's
Oh
dreams.
yeah, for sure. I love telling people about my dreams.
No, I
but
know you do.
I cannot listen to one moment.
I think
of
you'd
your
have
dream.
to voice memo it right away and just sort of word it out.
It is ironic about you that you're a like speed this fucking story up, but you have no problem droning on and on about a 20-minute fucking dream
That's
you
very
had.
Kreischer.
Yeah, I got a problem.
And at this point, then they say, "Oh, by the way, this was supposed to be a debate." I felt
By the way, this episode sucked because this wasn't how it was supposed
I
to
felt
be.
totally abused.
I gotta let's. I don't like the idea of these Joe Rogan debates, and I'll tell you why. It's not a neutral territory for anyone on the other side, and I wouldn't agree to it. Like when they're blown away that people won't go on Joe's show to debate.
Because you think the person's going in against
That's-
Joe and
that's-
Graham.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing, and you're
That's-
fucking crazy to think it's anything other than that. I'm
That's
sorry.
why what's his name wouldn't
Oh no, yeah, Peter
Peter
Hotez.
Hotez
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. Because you're going in to fight two people.
Not
on
really.
somebody
Joe
else's
knows
show.
nothing but what he's heard
Doesn't
from
matter.
Graham Hancock.
Listen,
He's never
yo.
even been to the pyramids.
Kamar, I'm there alone. I'm a nerd. I'm already nervous. I'm there with another nerd who should be nervous, but he has the alphaest of alpha males tattooed up behind him going, yeah, no, what he said. And what about
But
this?
that's all he's got.
No, and he has the occasional what about that. Listen, Kamar, there's been times in this podcast where Simon and I don't have anything to bring, but we're both arguing against you, and you find it frustrating. Being ganged up on in general is just not
But
fun.
I get it all the time.
If I was an expert, and I'm not expert in comedy, but
No.
when you guys are telling me about comedy, I feel like you guys don't know what you're talking about. Or
When you're telling me about comedy, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
I was just going to say, you think we don't. I was like, sometimes I feel like you don't.
it's always horrible to use yourself as example. I'm just saying, if this guy's an expert, he should be fine. All we're looking for is Graham to lose his fucking temper and stammer. Okay,
Listen,
that's all I want.
usually when you have a debate, you do so on neutral ground, and the person running the debate has no opinion one way or another.
And I think Joe's opinion could be swayed, and he throws Graham Hancock out on the
Disagree.
street.
1,000%
Disagree.
could not in this case. Maybe if you had Graham against another guy who had like a different opinion about ancient civil, Graham thinks they moved it with their minds, and this guy thinks they fucking used woolly mammoths to pull stone. Joe would be open to that, but he's not open to 5,000 years and possibly 100,000 years difference in starting points. He's just not.
Okay. They talked about. Well, no. Debate when the debate happens. If this guy gets better, they find someone else. We'll know. We'll know if it was a lamb going in the lion's den or whatever. AI translating languages, that could be really cool. I don't know how that completely works, but
That is interesting. Does AI just become its own Rosetta Stone?
well, and that leads me. That's two things. The Rosetta Stone is just by chance.
They find this one tablet that allows them to translate all Egyptian language. It's crazy, man.
Weird.
You have to find it somewhere, right?
Yeah, but no, it's like, was it left to be found, or if they don't find it, are we still
It probably got
eating
like
lice at each other's head?
it probably got stolen from like the Library of Alexandria before it got ransacked and everything got taken away, and this one thing got hidden in this chamber somewhere, and then they discover it.
Or
one day.
Rome, or the Vatican City was built on top of it.
Vatican City was built on top of the Library of Alexandria.
No, of the
Interesting.
Rosetta Stone. So Alexandria was originally in Rome.
No, I'm completely going Graham
I know you
Hancock
are,
on
yeah.
here. I have no idea that.
I mean, it must have been no.
I believe Alexandria is where Alexandria currently is, but
No,
maybe
but
I'm wrong.
This thing was said to be destroyed, so no one knows where it is.
It must be in the Middle East somewhere, right?
What are you talking about? Alexandria?
Yeah, where is Alexandria?
It's in Greece.
Is it?
Yeah.
The expert speaks.
No, the non-expert, the high school dropout.
Easter Island language. Languages are weird,
It's in Egypt.
Alexandria? Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
but you sounded sure with that.
So there
Yeah,
you go.
well, I sound sure about
would
everything.
bet money that it was in Greece after you said
Yeah,
that.
no.
Again, they're not that far from each other. Like you take a ferry from Italy to Morocco, it takes like an hour or something.
Well,
2
it's not in
hours.
Italy. We know that.
No, I'm just okay.
No.
Well, you're talking about Sicily. Like Sicily or the tip. Rome is like middle of the country.
middle
no?
of the country, but even to get from Rome to like
Listen, I get Simon. As far as Europe is concerned, it's one of the
It's a couple
closest
hours.
points. Yes, you can see. There's a point in Italy where you can see.
anyways, I'm
Africa.
agreeing with you. I'm saying these things aren't that far from each other, like
I'm just making shit up.
whether it's in Greece or Egypt.
But the he showed that Easter Island language because does written language and verbal language go hand in hand?
Well, I think verbal language probably comes first.
Well, I think you have verbal and then you do like pictures and stuff, and then you would get like written language. I think that's probably the progression, no?
So
I told you a couple, like 3 months ago, I was like, language, the more I think about it, makes the least amount of sense to me.
but what he showed from Easter Island was letters were like that no one even knows what it is.
From Easter Island, really?
At the very end, I think it was on the side of a piece of wood or something. It was really beautiful. It almost sort of looked a little bit Arabic. You know, sometimes Arabic can look
Or Hebrew.
like almost art, like script. But that the amount of time it would take to develop a language, agree on what A's look like, or whatever it's hard to use our one alphabet.
Well, no, our alphabet is easy because it's derivative of Latin and all the stuff that came before it.
The characters look similar.
That because that looks so much like Hebrew letters. Like if you drew out Hebrew letters into it, they'd look like other things. They don't look like letters that we know.
I agree. Yeah, that's why I said
I
Hebrew,
believe
yeah.
but if someone comes across an ancient script and sees Hebrew, they can read it.
Who is someone?
Someone who can read
The
Hebrew.
archaeologist,
Someone
whatever.
who can read Hebrew.
No one can understand this one from Easter Island.
Okay.
It's another
Because
language.
they have no Rosetta Stone for it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, they don't know what the letters.
I don't even know what the Rosetta Stone is.
It was like it showed you this letter meant this letter meant that, this picture meant this picture meant that, and then they were able to take that and translate all the hieroglyphs they find in Egypt, I believe.
Well, Simon, it's interesting because right now they're
They
trying.
don't have the Rosetta Stone for it, then yes.
There's the place where we put all of our used plutonium, all of our spent plutonium. They're trying to figure out a way to properly,
Tell people in the future.
precisely, yeah, because the idea, Kamar, is they're like
They're creating a Rosetta Stone for don't open this door.
Correct.
precisely, yeah. Well, they're trying to say like, listen, let's say something happens to our civilization, and 10,000 years from now, another civilization arises. How do we properly tell them don't go here? Because the one I heard was like, let's say you use the skull and crossbones. In pirate times, that could have meant like, well, yeah, but in the pirate times, could have meant there's a treasure here. So the meaning of things changes. And
Yeah, it's a problem. That's why
The
when
Wheeze is back, eh?
I can't breathe.
that's why when they sent that like plaque thing to space, in case the aliens find it, they used like a mathematical equation because they figured that would be
It's the only universal language. Yeah.
What is the Tesla going to tell them? There's supposed to be a Tesla that's just flying.
Oh, out in space. Well, there's not. And Tesla won't tell them anything because no Tesla will be able to stand the test of time. They're all built like fucking.
They're not built out of a stone car.
It's like the Flintstones.
Elon Musk, our new car is called the Pyramid.
So yeah, if AI may be, again, rears its ugly head or pretty head, the connector to just once it starts
It is interesting, Kamar. If you could, we don't have to feed.
deciphering languages.
AI has already been fed all the languages that exist on Earth today. So you're right. Why couldn't you just feed it all the ancient hieroglyphs, everything, and say, hey, get to work? Because they'd have a better chance than we will.
And
And
why
what
couldn't
takes
you-
someone a lifetime of work, it does in 30
what
seconds,
I'm
and he
saying.
shoots himself.
I wonder if you could like feed a program every piece of like proof they found and let it try and extrapolate a timeline or something,
I mean, it doesn't matter because it's all, again, I go back
Nobody's
to
going to
gatekeeping.
believe it.
Like if ChatGPT, someone has that untethered AI and that person could answer it. But right now, we have this watered down version.
And even if, let's just say they built an AI, they said, find the meaning of life. It comes out with the equation to the number 42. We would just be like, I don't believe it.
Live hard, die young.
How do we know that's an unbiased AI? Like there's no truth left to be found.
Churches on churches. We've talked about that many times.
Many times.
Is that
But
mean?
have you
a
seen the
necessity?
one they're talking about?
It's a glass floor.
No, the church here.
Well, they were talking about the glass floor.
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
but
that one. But he was also, that was Joe talking about the glass floor. Graham was talking about the one in Mexico City, I believe, or somewhere in Central or South America. It's a giant mountain, and then the cathedral is built on the top of the mountain. That mountain is actually a pyramid. So this church is built on top of the pyramid, and when you go into the basement of the church, you get into the pyramid.
And that pyramid could be on another pyramid
Probably on 3 other pyramids.
for your
Hold
purposes.
on, I'm gonna find it for you, but you can go on.
I wrote down rubber.
Because they made rubber.
Rubber is natural,
yeah, it comes,
Comes
from
from a
trees.
rubber plant.
and plastic is
Rubber tree, yeah.
Plastic is
Synthetic, yeah.
but it's natural. It comes from oil.
They
make it
could have
from oil,
been
yeah.
using rubber. They could have had plastics the same way kind of we do, a substance to make other things that was not our plastic at all, right?
But Kamar, when I was in Thailand, there's rubber trees everywhere.
Did you touch it
Yeah.
and it felt like rubber?
No. It's like the sap. I'm pretty sure you like score the tree,
It
and then
just
I
seems
think
like
they
a tree.
collect
Maybe
the
the
sap.
bark's soft or whatever. But
Now again, I said Alexandria was in Greece, so I might be completely wrong about this. But
grain of salt.
Yeah.
And finally, the Olmecs of Costa Rica. Does that ring a bell to you? Simon?
The Olmecs, yeah, that was a
no,
civilization.
you said of
apparently.
Costa Rica.
Well, they might have gotten down to Costa Rica.
Well, that's
I
the
don't know.
question.
They were
No,
from Costa
they were
Rica.
talking about the Costa Rican spheres.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the
The Olmecs.
attributed to the Olmecs though.
I put Omex, Costa Rica. I thought
I thought you'd fill in the blanks for
the
me.
Olmecs-
I wrote down rubber. I was hoping
The
someone.
Olmecs are those giant heads they find.
Yeah.
The Olmec heads. Do you remember which ones I'm talking about? They clearly look like they're African people. Like when you see them, you're like, oh, that's an African
all
person.
eating watermelon?
But they're found not in Africa.
They're all eating watermelon.
that doesn't even work.
That doesn't work at all. That's an American thing, I believe.
I realized as I was saying African.
So
now.
Kamar, this is so crazy, okay? So this is a mock-up of what is actually going on. So you have the church on top of a pyramid, built on top of a pyramid, built on top of a pyramid.
Is the third pyramid known or is this?
Yeah, no, they know all of those
Wow.
under there.
Do you
yeah.
see that picture?
I don't care.
It's so crazy. He doesn't care.
It's okay. Well, I do care. I just felt totally fucking honey potted here.
I hate to equate it like this, but it's like when you go to a restaurant and they have their sign up, but behind their sign you can still see the weathered KFC behind it. You know what I mean? And that's how much I care. I'm like, I just don't give a fuck.
Such an asshole. Unbelievable. Not the same at all, but very funny. It's like you can always see the Mattress Mart underneath. Like they did the worst job of getting rid of Mattress Mart and Blockbusters. You see Blockbusters forever.
You can see the stain around where the ticket used to be. Exactly.
Imagine they like unearth the oldest civilization ever. It's under the sand, and then there's a Blockbuster sign. And you're just like, oh,
McDonald's.
for
Yeah,
fuck's
God
sake.
damn it.
It's Planet of the Apes.
So was saying,
No, but that is like that movie for whatever you want to say. The end of that where he sees the Statue of
Liberty
What
and
a
realizes-
fucking
yeah.
amazing end.
get your hands off of me, you ape. Is that what we're talking
He's
I
about?
think it's
filthy.
your damn dirty ape. You filthy ape.
We're just making it worse.
I thought
dirty.
there's a story that there was like Netflix is opening a brick and mortar store in a Blockbuster. Maybe it's just a meme. Yeah. So
Maybe.
I did see this tweet the other day where this guy was like, I'm thinking of starting a podcast, but in real life with people. No microphones, no recordings, just people talking about ideas. And the person commented, this internet bro just figured out hanging out with people.
well, that's how it's gonna be. Yeah. This could have been fireworks and Graham getting flustered and Joe out of his element, an expert just handling them, or him crying and breaking down and realize his whole life was a lie. But it was not that. It was just another Graham Hancock episode, which I would not recommend to anyone to watch.
In closing, though, I got to give it up for Graham Hancock. He's like I said, this was the best him. He seems more, like he said, he was like, I believe that they believe what they believe. Like, he's like, I don't think they're just trying to do this to hide some narrative. He's like, I think they truly believe it, and I'm fine with that. And he was saying, he's like, this guy was willing to come on here, and he was willing to debate me because he feels like he's right. I feel like I'm right. He's only here because he didn't get cancer. I wish him the best. Like, I thought this was the best Graham Hancock we've got.
He did just do ayahuasca trip, so maybe.
Oh, there you go.
He's
Yeah.
in good spirits.
That because I mean that really was always the thing with Graham Hancock. He's done so many ayahuasca and still had all this like
this
hatred
anger,
in his
yeah.
heart.
Bitter. Well, the fact that Netflix
Like
gave him
I
money
haven't
to
done
make
any.
the
It
special.
makes sense. I have all the hatred in my heart.
Well, and give Netflix credit too that like they obviously caught a lot of flack and hate, and they were like, we don't give a shit.
But that's his vindication, and he.
I mean, I don't think there's any flack and hate. Like, what does Netflix care? They're not like an educational network. You know what I mean?
No, but we know that from like there's been times where there's been a lot of heat and pushback, whether it's Chappelle or there have been
Oh, I
times
see.
where
Yeah,
they put things
gotcha.
on that
Yeah,
people
but there's
get.
only 6 nerds involved here.
No, I get you. Yeah, but that's even more my point, right? They put way more controversial stuff on than a couple of fucking rocks that nobody understands. Apparently,
I just think it's funny that you complain. Like if I found something on Netflix that I disagreed with or found offensive, I would never write them a letter being like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you watch television, you can't expect that every single thing that you're going to come across is going to agree with your statement, your point of
because
view.
you're signing up for Netflix. I think so. You think like I'm a customer, whereas
You sign
were-
up for cable.
I know, but we never really thought we were like customers of cable.
It doesn't matter. My point is, I don't expect that Netflix is going to cater to just my likings and my.
No, I'm just telling you why these Karens think that. You know what I mean?
Fuck them.
I give this episode a 2.5.
It's like I listen to this free podcast and I'm still gonna complain about it.
I give it a 2.5.
I give it a 2.5, and that's only out of respect for Graham.
We have an agreement. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill.
No, we're doing. Oh, okay.
No, we're definitely taking a break. We're going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill, and we will be right back. We're back. Thank you so much to the sponsors. There will be a link in the description. Please be sure to go and check them out. Kamar, can I get a name and a number?
2052, Shane Dorian.
Simon's boy.
Oh, man. Well,
What a week for Simon.
we uncovered that.
Send out the fucking parades.
Yeah, for the 5 year, they just gave you everything you
Get
wanted
a
and more.
mediocre fucking. I can't even remember his name. We just did him. Brandel Carlson. That's all that's coming to mind. Graham Hancock. A mediocre Graham Hancock, followed by possibly the worst podcast of all time.
It's sort of up there, right? Because they started talking about surgeries and painkillers. But he said, Shane, what do you have to talk about? There's a lot's going on. And there was nothing.
There was nothing.
nothing new going on.
Yeah.
No.
They talked about painkillers, stem cells.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is sorry, Matt, if you get squeamish, you got that surgery they talked about
The fusion.
where they go through your front. Eh?
Yeah.
That-
It's gross.
it's amazing.
And I made the mistake of watching the surgery the night before I
Oh
got
my
the
yes,
surgery.
yes, you definitely made a mistake.
Because I
there.
had no idea how it all worked until I watched the video of them opening it up, and you look like the demigog or whatever from.
That happened to you.
Yeah, I know it's fucked up.
How long did the pain,
Go away for?
like immediately after surgery,
It was
when you
gone.
come through?
Yeah, I woke up just like I could move my arm all around. It was amazing.
You didn't feel immense soreness here?
Oh, it was really sore, but
From
the
where the-
everyday pain that I had at that time was gone.
So it was a success for you.
I mean, something went wrong a year later, so no, it wasn't a success.
But you didn't have immense pain from them cutting open your neck.
No, that's not all that painful. The pain
small
is
hole.
from just the surgery. Any surgery you go through is
Yeah, agreed.
a toll on your body. And this one sucked because after it was done, I had to wear that neck brace for like 8 weeks or whatever. And it sucked. They wanted you to like wear it in the shower and like, cause you need your neck to set properly. So you had to wear it while you were sleeping. It was that was
That's
the
a nightmare.
absolute worst part. Yeah. Cause I'm also a front sleeper. So I had to sleep on my back for a really long time, which I found really hard.
If something didn't go wrong a year later, would you'd be happy you've gotten it?
Yeah, for sure.
But because
if
something
it worked,
something went wrong a year later, it was a waste of time, and you would not.
Yeah,
would you go through it again?
I mean, yeah, I think I would take the shot again, but I think I would also, I don't know, try something else before that.
Did they prescribe to you painkillers?
Yes.
Oh, really? It was. Did you ask like I'm in a lot of pain, or they're like? Take
I told them
these,
I was in a lot of pain. They decided what they
and
put
what
me
they
on.
gave you did the trick.
It worked. When you're in pain, you don't get high off the painkillers. Do you know what I mean?
The pain just goes away
We've both taken painkillers for fun.
recreationally.
When you take it and you're not in pain, all that pill has to do is make you feel good because it's going to fight a pain and it has nothing to fight. So it's just bliss.
It fights
When
all
you
pain.
have a pain in your body, that when you're
Specific.
really in pain and you
Acute.
actually need painkillers, it's all going to fight that pain. So yeah, you feel better, but you don't feel the same way you do when you take them
For no reason.
For no reason. Because it's tricking your brain. Like that's what the painkiller is all about. It's like somehow tricking your brain into believing that everything is good.
I think someone gave me a Dilaudid a little while ago, and I
Yeah.
could not believe how small it was, and that it did have an effect on me.
Well, that's the same with like, have you ever taken lorazepam or Ativan?
No.
It's just like
I know someone who takes Ativan. Though.
they're such a tiny little pill, and it will like knock your butt down, man.
And that's what makes me believe about fentanyl and stuff. Stem cells. Shane, I don't think has gotten stem cells, so they didn't work. Are you intrigued by that?
By stem cells?
Frustrated that it's not an option.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so intrigued that I want to get on a plane and fly to Panama, but I'm definitely like wish they would open that shit up here. Like, I don't get why a lot of if
It's religion.
if you have all these
And the
people
source of the
going
stem
to
cells.
different countries to get procedures done,
Yeah.
I really believe that your country needs to take a better look at what's happening there. Like, why are your citizens flocking to other places to get things done?
And if you're a betting man, I think they'll get to stem cells before they get to assisted suicide.
I mean, pre-COVID, I would have agreed with you. I wouldn't have agreed with you. Post-COVID, I agree with you.
What?
Well, pre-COVID, I would have been like, there's probably reasons, like, there was a belief that they vetted things for safety for quite some time, and that until they could prove the long-term efficacy versus, risk and reward, they wouldn't allow it. And that you could go there if you wanted as a free citizen, whatever. But now, now that I'm like, well, they do whatever the fuck they want anyway.
Why are they keeping it from here?
Yeah.
I also just think too that like there's a certain amount of like public opinion that goes into it too, meaning that if nobody's interested in a certain drug, the government probably isn't going to waste its time putting any work into it.
Yeah.
But if there is, and that's what I'm saying, if you have enough people going to fucking Panama to get stem cells or whatever, maybe you need to take a second look at like why you're not doing it.
What would be interesting is if they would foot the bill for it, like support it. We're not going to do it here,
Under
but
OHIP?
Oh, that's a good.
going-
That's a good point.
going to the hospital or
I
whatever.
don't understand.
So if stem cell treatment is exceedingly expensive, most Canadians would benefit from it, and then that would cripple the healthcare system. I mean, it wouldn't. Sorry, let me back that up. The upfront cost might cripple the healthcare system, but the long-term benefits might outweigh it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if every Canadian took stem cells for whatever ails them and they became better, the long term, like if no one's going to the hospital for the next 3 years.
Yeah, you're just saying that at the beginning.
Short-term pain for long-term
because
gain.
stem cells cost so much money.
I believe it's expensive, is it not?
Well, I think it is because you have to harvest them from actual umbilical cords and the like.
But if it was more mainstream, maybe the cost would go down.
Yeah, and again, yes, and right now it's exceedingly expensive. If they do the work and they put the stuff, then it becomes cheaper, right? Like that's the whole
That's what you
idea.
hope, yeah.
What I was thinking about healthcare the other day is in Canada, I mean, during the pandemic, it was like, oh, there's no beds left or whatever. And I think there still are no beds left right now. But if no one went to the hospital at all, it would be all right. Everyone would get paid and, right?
Well, there's never going to be a time where no one goes to the hospital.
Of course not, but just say.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, if no one goes to the hospital sick, if it's just for
It
emergencies,
still
like,
just runs.
You
The
got
hospitals have their budget. Everyone gets paid. Because it doesn't depend on getting customers, which in this case are patients. Whereas in America, they do.
Well, no, it does. If you have a hospital and 0 people are going to it, the Canadian
lay-
government
lose
is going to
They would lay people off.
They're going to shut that hospital and they're going to send everyone to the nearest hospital. That's
Well,
just
everyone
how
died
that
and everyone
shit-
cured. We had a healthy month. It would it would be more. It'd be worse for like a private healthcare system than ours.
To Matt's point, you're never not going to have people in the hospital. You're just going to have way less people in the hospital, and you're not going to need as many hospitals, and you're going to be able to have the very best people who work in those. Like that's the way it should be. You know what I mean?
We got lost there. They talked about diet.
Did we? Or you led us somewhere and we went down a bad path?
I said we. They
said
talked
we.
about diet. Shane was very adamant that In-N-Out sucks,
Okay, Shane.
well, he
sucks.
bases it on fries.
which is
He said that.
On
He
the-
said, am I wrong?
I don't even remember.
I just think this is the first time I've ever heard someone not. I mean, I've never had it.
Have you?
Did you have ETN, Simon? No, you have Ridley.
I have him on
Sorry.
another card.
I have ETN.
Do you
Go on.
You've had the animal fries at In-N-Out?
Yes.
That's where they put the meat in it and
No, it's
cheese.
It's covered in like the secret sauce and cheese.
Oh.
I don't think there's meat.
Oh, I thought there was meat in it. Anyways, okay. You've had that though?
Yeah.
Was it like incredible?
No, I didn't knock my socks off. if
Do
I'm
you
being
like
honest.
poutine?
Yeah, I don't
like,
like
are
the way
you-
you just said it, but yes.
You don't like the way I said poutine?
Yeah, it's I don't know.
How do you say it? Putin?
No,
You want
poutine.
some
But
Vladimir
you're like
Putin?
poutine. Anyway,
Shane doesn't like fries at all. He wants wedges.
yeah, he did say that. Yeah. What's your question, though, Simon?
I don't remember. What was my question?
You were like, do you like
Did you have
poutine?
animal
Oh,
fries?
do you
yes.
like? I'm just wondering if you like French fries with shit on them,
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
because I'm not a huge fan.
I like
of
French fries with
shit
cheese
on
and
them.
gravy. I don't like French fries with
I like
shit.
fries on their own. I dip them in ketchup. That's kind
So
of my
they have
thing.
shit on them.
Oh my god!
No.
You
They
know what?
have nothing on them.
you
I
know-
would never put ketchup all over my French fries. That's ludicrous.
Okay, how about would you get a side of gravy and dip your fries in gravy?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I would never like order that. You know what I mean? I'm always happy with ketchup.
Okay, but you go to Quebec and they give you a side of gravy. It's implied, so you don't have like it comes with it.
I'll take it. I'll use it if I don't have ketchup. If I do have ketchup, that'll be an open container of gravy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I believe the best French fries I ever had was at the bowling alley across from my junior high.
Interesting. Matt, best French fries you've ever had?
I mean, I don't remember, but I would agree with Joe. I think Five Guys.
Five Guys has good fries. The best fries I've ever had is the mini putt by my cottage. They like never change the
Yes,
grease,
that's
you
the
know?
key.
It
That
is
is the
the
key.
best. And it still exists to this day. So if you guys ever want to try the best French fries in the
Black
world,
oil
I
fries.
can take you there.
Casse-croûte.
Play the worst mini putt of all time.
Speaking of fries with stuff on them, I made the mistake of ordering waffle fry nachos.
That sounds disgusting.
It was just
Waffle fry nachos.
so instead of nacho chips,
Yeah.
they just put the waffle fries down.
So bad, actually.
No, nachos are nachos for a reason.
Okay, because I think
It just gets it's a soggy, gloppy mess.
Anyways, we shouldn't
Soggy
give this
bottom
guy
mess.
another moment. This is crazy. I don't know what you're doing here.
There's not much more. Fruit. His favorite fruit is papaya. I've talked about this before. Papaya smells like a dead body.
I hate papaya.
It's the most disgusting fruit.
Yeah. I
No,
mean, it's
the-
not the most disgusting, but it's disgusting.
What's more disgusting than papaya?
Durian.
Yeah, durian is.
I don't know what that
really,
is, so
That's
it's
like
not
the
fruit. It's
smells
banned
like
on
rotten
airplanes.
Disgustingness.
Smells like 15. It smells like I cum.
Smells like papaya.
It smells like someone cummed in 15 gym bags and left them in the sun.
the
It's
worst
disgusting.
fruit. I don't like bananas.
Bananas
I
got
don't
a
like
good
bananas
flavor,
either.
but the texture is just, it's almost got to be not ripe.
What else is a bad fruit? There's way more bad vegetables than bad fruits.
But they didn't talk about vegetables. They were just talking about fruit.
I fucking love raspberries.
I love any berries, really.
Yeah, strawberries. They're terrible for you, but
I like any type of melon.
Strawberries are bad for you.
yeah.
You like all melons? Or you
like-
like one melon over?
No.
The green melon, honeydew, or
I like
cantaloupe?
cantaloupe. I like honeydew. I like watermelon. I like fucking. Excuse me. If there's another melon, I'll eat that too.
If there's another melon,
I'm not a huge orange fan, to tell you the truth. The oranges aren't really my thing. I
I'm
like
wondering-
all
Good
types.
clementine?
I like a good clementine.
I'm wondering about you with the access to the fruit.
I like a whole. I
that's
like
part of your
all
rating.
apples. I like
Oh, apples are terrible. Worst fruit of all time.
what?
Yeah.
Okay,
apples are
that's a
garbage.
controversial.
I like a pear.
Take.
Nice pear.
Oh no, I don't like pears.
Pears have to be perfectly ripe.
Yeah, I don't like. Whoa, any fruit that's mushy.
Oh,
Ruins
out of
it.
there.
It has
out
to
of
be
there.
crisp.
Yeah.
I don't want no mushy fruit.
Blueberries are good. It's just you got to get. They're expensive, and you can't get a mouthful of them.
You know the thing about blueberries?
Don't like blackberries.
I personally like the tiny little ones. I don't like the bigger, like plump, juicy ones. No.
They lose something when they get too big.
Yeah.
I like a good tart blackberry sometimes.
Well, I like me a blackberry.
Yeah.
They turned the world upside down when Shane said he had a vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
He said that most surfers-
it blew Joe's mind.
Maybe they're wearing rash guards. I don't know.
Maybe
It
the
feels like you're in
water
sun.
reflects the sun differently or absorbs the vitamin D. Maybe the dolphins steal it from you. Who knows, man?
Maybe the dolphins steal it from
Then they
me.
talked about sleep, and that we all know that's important. And then Shane,
We all know that's important.
I did- brought up geopolitical Palestine, Israel, which I again was sort of like when Graham Hancock started talking about politics.
It's funny because
The whole field, 101-yard touchdown return.
wow, flagrant. Even Andrew Schulz has like now gone on, at least made some sort of statement. You know what I mean? Just whatever. Joe hasn't even like
Statement about what?
he just said like usually people go too early making a decision
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
hearing the whole thing out, but nobody wants to see kids dying, blah blah blah, whatever it is. I don't care what side you're with. Whatever it is, it's just funny to me what a fence sitter Joe is. Like he just never takes a stance on anything at the beginning. Have you noticed?
Well, I mean, at the same time,
It's super smart.
Yeah.
He's done very well by doing that. It's
really smart, yeah.
He just doesn't. He eventually he comes out and now he's against pharmaceuticals. He's against it. You know what I mean? But like,
in his defense, he's also he spent a long time in his own world. Like for a long time, the podcast was like, only had a few interests, kind of narrow, if you will. Right. So if he didn't see a documentary about it on Netflix, it wasn't really in his world. Like, again, I went back and was listening to our early episodes because whatever. And he had Darren Brown on, but did not watch The Push.
Right, yeah,
Which is a
crazy.
huge injustice, in
yeah.
my opinion. Like, so is that London Drake? 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 There's a flag either way.
doesn't help me unless he scores a touchdown.
But
Yeah.
them talk
gets them up
talk
there.
about geopolitical.
But wait, sorry. Just I want to go back to what were you saying there?
Well, my point was just you were like Joseph fence sitter. He's late to a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of things. My point was just that before the last 5 years, I think he had a more narrow. He had a lot of comedians on, a lot of MMA. It wasn't as broad as it is now.
I'll throw Joe a bone.
Yeah,
I think maybe he knows how powerful his opinion is and just knows that there are certain things that it's better. But at the same time, look, you don't have to be and I guess this is what I appreciated about Schulz, is you don't have to be pro-Israel to come out and say, don't hate all Jews because, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a leader thing.
No, but that's a statement that needs to be said. And Joe, like, it totally brushes over it.
I really
You know
think,
what I mean?
just like
Or don't hate all Palestinians for what Hamas does or whoever. You know what I'm saying?
that's it. It's leaders that are making it worse. The leaders, like it's not the people are not at fault here.
I mean,
Palestinians or Israelis.
of course, the same
But
way
leader-
Ukrainians and Russians aren't at.
But
George Pickens.
I thought he was out.
no, Pickett, the quarterback,
Oh, I'm talking about Pickens.
Excellent.
Scored?
Yeah.
Nice.
but he's back into.
That's
Anyways,
not the one I need though, Matty.
the problem isn't the people. The problem is the leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, like I think you would find that you see, and Israeli and Palestine, that's such a tough one. When people are bred, like really, to hate each other,
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters who's in power. Do you know what I mean? If that's really what you think.
Well, no, but that like Coleman said, the protests in Israel about the Supreme Court was because the Supreme Court was more empathetic to the Gaza people. So
that's right. Yeah.
So in that's demonstrating that the people realize there's a problem. It's the leader like stuck in their ways.
That's right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It's just a shame of a situation. He brought it up, then that switched to drug cartels, was just like fly under the radar, sort of. Do you know what I mean?
Weren't they talking about how they made fentanyl illegal
Well, they said anyone will kill you. The
cartels.
cartel, yeah.
The cartels are getting out of the fentanyl business.
Were they ever in the fentanyl business?
Yeah, most of it got shipped from China to Mexico, I'm pretty sure. But maybe I've been wrong about everything, so who gives a shit?
It could be them starting a rumor, just throw heat off them, but
No, but I mean, they're absolutely right? Like, if you kill your customers,
Yeah.
there's nobody left to sell your illegal drugs to. You
Yeah,
know?
that's correct.
It is not in the best it's in, like, they always blamed it on China, which again just feels like a boogeyman thing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it's at all in the US's best interest to spike the stuff that's coming in. Like, imagine that the cartel were sending it up.
Well, you have to imagine the CIA, again, the CIA knows the stuff is coming in and where it's coming in, right? They know everything.
Well, they're part of it. That's
yeah. So they obviously want it in the
Shaden
country.
was actually talking about the one with, I think it's fentanyl and some horse tranquilizer
ketamine.
that tries to get out of your skin. No, not that one. We don't remember.
No, I
that
don't know
point.
what you're talking about.
Crocodile, or
Shane
it's called
who?
something. Shane Dorian.
Oh, Shane Dorian.
Anyways, talked about the drug cartels. Then there was a long COVID rant, which you've heard,
Let's just move on from
represent-
this guy, man.
and media incompetence. And that was what they talked
Amazing. This guy's a media incompetent.
about. I give it a 2.
Am I wrong?
I give it a 1.5. Shane Dorian's a great guy,
I-
but this episode was just like, it was just them fucking sucking each other's dicks. But I got to say this too. Joe really makes it seem like just going to Hawaii to hunt axis deer is something we can all do.
Yes, when he did say at one point, like, just go to Hawaii, have a deer, like treat yourself.
There are times in this podcast now where it's kind of like the Rob Report. And it's fine because I used to enjoy when I was younger reading the Rob Report and being like, oh man, imagine if I could ever afford an $80 million yacht and like a humidor or a gold money clipper, whatever the fuck shit I will never be able to afford. There's a part of you that like, I don't mind it a bit, but it's just tough to maintain the everyman status when like,
When you have a glass floor in your kitchen and you look down on like an ancient ruin.
and I'm not mad at him.
monolith.
I'm not mad at him. He's worked very hard for where he's at, and he deserves everything he's gotten, and I'm happy for him. Most people can't afford the flight to Hawaii, let alone shipping the meat back, having it like
It's almost like he wonders why not everyone eats elk.
yeah, because we can't all afford to go hunt elk.
Why everyone doesn't work out 12 hours a day.
And do we all wonder, is it just bleeding hearts that it isn't like something here? I guess you can get venison at some restaurants, but it's not.
My aunt's restaurant venison was
It's
on the
not
menu.
common.
It's not common. That is very peculiar.
Like
We
it-
have so many deer.
But is it an emotional thing not to farm them to do that?
Oh, again, I disagree with you. I think if you go to most restaurants, not most, sorry, some restaurant. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? If you go to the butcher down the street, they'll have venison. You can buy venison.
at the butcher. But if you go to like pick your favorite restaurant right now, you think they're gonna have wild game on the
It
menu?
might be big beef.
Might be big beef.
Might
Wants
be.
to keep wild game or whatever out of it. And maybe it's ethical to, you have to farm them. Like what constant supply could you have of those guys shooting deer or with arrows and hitting the thing and polluting the meat?
You couldn't
Polluting
make
the
it.
meat.
You couldn't mass produce it, is what you're saying.
Something like this. I'd like to try elk though. And I would like to eat elk like he does, just with a bottle of mayonnaise. Nothing wrong with that. On his stomach. In his
In his cold tank,
beanbag chair.
he just has one of those little floaty tubes that's for dip, but he puts his mayo in there in his cold tank, and then he.
But yeah, it is
Dips
it's
the
a
elk
luxury to hunt. But
Listen, yeah, say whatever you want about Joe Rogan. That guy choked out his dog. He's a motherfucker.
Yeah, don't fuck with JR.
he's a real boy.
He's a real one.
2053.
Real one.
No
Danny
cap.
and Michael Philippou.
Danny and Michael Philippou. So just before we start, congratulations, Kamar. You were 1 week off, kind of like I was with Tottenham last year.
This year. I just want to, and it was me, but whatever. I just want
What do
to.
you mean you?
I was the one that came to you and said, I think we should put $100 on Tottenham. And now you're acting like you're some soothsayer. We were both wrong either way.
Tottenham's my favorite team.
Okay. The best part of this episode by far was when these two Aussies explained to Joe what job experience was. I don't know if you caught that moment. I fucking died laughing. He was like, we did it for the job experience. And then there's a pause and he goes, job experience, Joe, is where you go and you get a job, right? You work that job. And then when you
on the film sets.
yeah, and then when you're done working that job, hopefully you can go and get a better job based on a recommendation or the fact that you've already worked something in that. And Joe went, yeah, I know.
So anyways, congratulations to you, Kamar. And
Yeah.
then just before we start, it's never been more apparent of Joe being part of Sober October than this episode right here.
No, he just
Like
wasn't
he
having
sounded
any
like
of it.
their goddamn dad.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
I think Joe liked the movie more than he likes the brothers.
Yeah, 100%.
They're identical twins.
I think he's very lucky. I think he's very lucky that those two didn't fight each other on that podcast. No, I'm being totally serious.
I've been viral.
Well, don't
They're not
they
above
do
it.
they do that? I'm saying
They do
that's
that.
like a thing. I think they probably
Well-
checked with Joe and he was like, "Yeah, you're not doing that."
There were
I
four.
don't mind if we have a quick fucking
There were
Donnybrook at the
four
studio.
interruptions in this episode, and Joe was starting to get annoyed.
The blackouts, yeah.
At one point, I think it's on the third interruption, or maybe the fourth, the brothers switched shirts. I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't watch it.
I watched it, but I didn't notice they switched shirts.
Danny is blonde and Michael has dark hair. It's Danny and Michael. I don't know if they were all in on doing, let's do a fuck with Joe. We'll cut it out. The thing we said something like,
No.
because I don't think they were getting along.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if they were getting into like some shit.
On the four interruptions. They can't,
On the four interruptions.
Because they are guys that would say something you're not supposed to say.
I don't even think it was something they weren't supposed to say because they didn't come back right away. You could tell by the, there was definitely.
They did. They said, what was I just talking about? And it was that.
They didn't say, go back and listen, Kamar. They didn't say, what were we just talking about? They were like, what were we talking about before we got interrupted by this air quotes power outage? I'm telling you, those guys fought each other and Joe wouldn't have it on the show.
But
Something between one of them
Were they-
reaches
were
out
they
and
trying to be
smacks the other
viral?
one. That's just what they do. Didn't you see them on Logan Paul's show?
Impulsive.
Yeah, no. Yeah, impulsive. They just started kicking the shit out of each other, didn't they?
maybe.
Like that backyard wrestling shit
That they love.
that they love. No, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's
I didn't
what
see
was
them.
going-
I didn't know who these guys were until this.
Dude, that's what I thought right away. On the first cut, I was like, yeah, these two tried to fight each other and Joe
Interesting.
wasn't having it. Because then there's another part in the podcast where they were like, we could just do it right now, Joe. We could fight each other right now, right here. And Joe's like, yeah, I don't think you're going to do that. And they were like, why? He's like, because we have wires all over the place and I would break it up. You didn't hear that?
These two guys felt like if Meth was the guest.
If Meth was the guest, exactly. Yeah.
Like they were like,
They're
dude, on
almost like
three
two sides
times
of a brain.
on 3X, it was fucking heinous.
Oh, I could, dude.
It was.
I had to listen. I've never listened at one, and I listened at one because you couldn't.
No, it was undoable.
No, but he's absolutely right. These two are the embodiment of meth.
Yeah.
And when the guy said I hadn't slept in 17 years, I was like, meth.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Kumar, go ahead.
It got better an hour in. They did sort of calm down a bit, and in the very beginning is like holding on.
I think after every time they fought, they get a little calmer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Before YouTube, Danny's only job was medical experiments.
Again, meth.
Yeah. 100%.
Embodiment
yeah.
of meth. If you're trying to make a person to embody
Yeah.
meth, you would be like, yeah, so we're going to just test random drugs on you.
Dude, he goes in there. He's like, is it meth this week? Because that'd be fucking nice.
Joe's just like, I don't know what's stupider, that drug trials or getting hit by the car.
Yeah.
Michael's been hit by a car 24 times. And
Did you guys watch the
No, I didn't know.
the second one,
second one? Oh my god!
The only technique is to put your arms where your head would smash the ground because you know where
He
your
just
elbow-
gets smashed.
It's like, oh yeah, your
man.
head protected, but your elbows just
It's
hit the sidewalk.
it's insane. It's
But-
insane.
but, I
it
mean-
looks like a stuntman gone wrong. You know?
But he's a stuntman.
Yeah, I listened to the
No,
podcast.
It's very interesting because these guys would just fuck around, poke around, always obsessed with
They-
filming stuff.
Fucking around, poking around.
Again, meth. They're trying to tell the story about how they get into the stuntman game.
Yeah.
And end up telling you like every tiny little detail about Bob and Bob's uncle Roy and his dog who only had one eye. Like it's all meth.
I would say these are the most
Mike Tyson's joining us.
authentic YouTubers I've seen.
Because
Okay.
of this interview, or
Like,
you know
what
something
they
else?
present on YouTube
Is who
them.
they are.
Like there wasn't a lot, like they're not cunning like marketing guys, I don't think. But they did say so. They wanted to do film or television originally, had no place to put it, so they put it on YouTube. It happened to get successful. They got caught up chasing the algorithm, but they still do really cool. Their big thing is practical. It's got to be real
Yeah.
effects, no CGI. So they just want to be like purists.
The fact that they made that person do like 8 hours of makeup for 15 frames.
Now, you guys haven't seen the movie, right?
I
saw
have.
it.
I
Oh, you
watched
have?
it right after I listened to this podcast.
And
saw
did
it
you
2
agree
weeks.
with your wife and your son because they thought it was stupid?
I hated this movie.
You did.
Listen,
Terrible
It
film.
was okay. It wasn't scary.
You think it was like a cool ghost story? No, there's one point. There's one point where he holds the hand and they say, okay, time's up. And she goes, no, longer. And you inside go, oh no, bitch. You should.
No, there was.
okay.
I didn't.
did.
It was a cool.
Twice.
It was a cool movie. It was a cool idea. I liked how they did certain things. What did you hate so much about it?
I just didn't love it. Here's the problem. Joe posted on Instagram, "This is the scariest movie I've ever seen." So then I was like, okay. So I put it on for Mary and I was like, yeah, Joe Rogan said this was the scariest movie he's ever seen. And at the end of it, I was like, this was fucking at best bang average.
Yeah, no, I thought the way I went into it, I see why you would hate it. But after listening to these guys, and then I went in being able to know they actually gave thought as to like backstory of the hand and all. Like it's a cool idea. The movie was okay. It wasn't like the
I
greatest thing
said,
I've ever seen.
Bang average.
Considering it's two YouTubers and you know what they do.
It's
The Ron
pretty.
McDonald.
It's amazing.
And it's the first movie.
Yep.
It's really, really like, and they were just so honest in this. They said, everyone's like, once you do one of these, what do you want to do next? They could fuck up the Street Fighter movie. They can make another one. It could be complete dog shit. But
I mean,
Well,
the
that's-
first Street Fighter movie was one of the biggest hunks of shit ever. So I
You
don't know.
didn't watch the Street Fighter fatalities that they were talking about in this
Mortal
episode,
Kombat.
or Mortal Kombat.
when the mother beats the guy with his entrails.
Oh, sorry. What are they doing? They're doing Street,
Street Fighter.
Fighter.
Real Street Fighter.
Oh, I thought they were doing
They did Mortal Kombat.
They were doing the fatalities
Well,
for Mortal
if they're gonna do it anything like that, you're not gonna like that movie, Matt.
My only caveat would be if you watched it without knowing anything. I think you'd just enjoy it all the same, or think it was cool.
I think it was cooler
They got
knowing,
too much expectation.
Yeah.
but it's a cool, quirky, like horror type.
It's a cool little
I
ghost
thought
story.
the concept was decent. I just thought the execution was, I don't know.
I love how they don't tell you any backstory about the hand.
but
Yeah, I
they do
like
have
that.
a full backstory.
But that's
according to
cool. Like if number 2, they go into like the backstory of the hand. And I like how they said they know every single person who's touched the hand going,
Well,
like that's cool.
it
man.
would be cool if a bunch of international, you had 8, and at some point, but they're like
all about
in
the hand.
Nigeria,
Yeah,
in Costa
no,
Rica.
it's cool.
It would be cool.
I mean, I could see
That is
Netflix
cool.
doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That-
Netflix.
that is cool.
Joe was like, "Are you
Like
guys?"
that's sorry, Kamar, I don't mean to. No. That it would be like it's not quite the same, but Love, Death, and Robots.
Mm-hmm.
You know how each episode is just a totally different thing, but still a cartoon about the.
Yeah.
They could do the same thing with the hand, but they could also just do different director, different.
Yeah.
You know. Anyways, very cool.
Joe tried to hit him with, "Are you worried that you're going to influence kids to do stuff?" And they point out, "Well, no, we're doing skits. Like it's not like Jackass, and Jackass is way more of a negative influence for people to do stuff to hurt themselves."
I mean,
I would think.
After Jackass, lots of people tried to fucking
Sure, but who gives a
ride
fuck?
shopping carts down hills.
But they do
you
such
know?
crazy stuff that don't gonna try it.
I mean, I think everybody who puts stuff on the internet like that must know that kids are watching them and somebody's going to possibly emulate what they do. Like
I would agree with that. Yeah.
it's got to be a thought in your mind.
It's interesting that the idea for the movie was his neighbor had a bad trip, was having convulsions, and everyone filmed it. And just that resonated with him and sat for years to become this story. They brought it to Hollywood. Nobody wanted it. And once Hollywood did get involved, you said the coolest thing about him is not to mention any background on the hand. Hollywood's note was you should put in some more background on the hand. So they seem to have really good instincts. They say they're not really good friends.
Dude, I thought that was so weird, eh?
Are you
they
good friends
do-
with your brother?
Well, one, we're not twins. I think that would be
Okay.
totally different. If my brother and I are 10 years apart.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
We're
That's fair.
You
Yeah.
know, we roll in totally different fucking
yeah.
crews. If I had a brother who was in like 2 years of me, I would think we would be really good friends, but who fucking knows?
It sort of felt like
But they also work close
They
together.
love each other, but they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very peculiar.
But almost like it's a boundary that they've set up to because they work together
Be
so much.
able to function.
Yeah, like I said, that's what I was saying. Is I think that because they work so closely and such long hours together, it's probably like when they're done, it's let's just go our separate ways. They
And-
kind of reminded me. Do you know who Luke and Sassy Scott are?
Nope. Luke and Sassy Scott.
Yeah, they're these two gay Australian dudes. They have like millions
Oh,
of.
they're hilarious.
Yeah, you know exactly
Oh,
who I'm
I know
talking-
exactly
Yeah.
who you're talking about. One of them's like a total fucking diva, and the other's just always like poking fun at him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Like
know
he'll be
them.
like, "Yeah, I dirtied up Scott's microwave today."
But I actually feel like those two guys really like each other as brothers, and they work together.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Where I would have thought these guys would have been really close until they said that. I was just really like blown away.
I
by
bet it's
that,
over
to
Riley
tell you the
Reid.
truth.
I think they had a threesome with Riley Reid and got
That
jealous.
blonde guy has no interest in Riley Reid.
Yeah, he's on the spectrum for sure.
Yeah, he's like
The-
love
the
on.
story-
He's love on
no,
the
story you
spectrum
talked
for
about is I
sure.
could drive and talk to myself, and then I went to the cliff
Yeah.
and talked to myself, and then I talked to the other self.
Yeah.
that was looking at this guy acting like it's a normal practice, and that's his process. That's amazing. But
Yeah, amazing, but I'm pretty sure that's just like a schizophrenic tendency.
so there's a strange interruption, and Danny comes back with the receipt. He shows this is one of the drugs they tried, and
Joe tries.
it felt like Joe was like, okay, who really did all this? Like, you guys are meth heads. There's no way you did this movie. He was trying to find out, oh, that's who did it. But they're just very honest and forthright.
The fact that that Kamar stated that they switched shirts at one point, I think just more goes to show what I'm saying, that they fought, probably like ripped their shirts off and then just got dressed in a hurry, put each other's shirts on. At one point, I wish we were a clip show and could do that, but Joe actually says, I'm telling you, they're like, why can't we fight on your show? And he was like, because I would break it up.
And then they asked him when you've been a last fist fight.
Yeah,
Which
and-
everyone else says it was at the Thunderdome. I looked at the guy's girlfriend and people started hitting me. There's a story, but Joe just doesn't do that.
Joe's too busy choking out dogs to fight human beings, all right?
They shot the movie in 5 weeks. They reinvested all their fees to do the movie they wanted to. So super like gambling.
Yeah.
They took the risk. Obviously, it paid off. 90 seconds of film is usually equivalent to 1 day of filming.
That was insane, right?
Well, no, you know more about filmmaking than I do, but it's something like that, right?
One day they filmed 90 seconds.
A 12-hour, 16-hour shoot is for 90 seconds.
I'm just trying to do the math. They shoot for, I don't know, like 3 months is usually a film. So what's that? 90 days. 90 days.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like a
about right,
minute
yeah.
a day. Yeah, that's crazy. I
that
never
sounds-
thought. I
yeah.
never thought about that.
I think that's what makes a director.
So if you have a whoa, if you have like an Avatar, let's say, and it takes like 3 years to make,
Oh, hold on. I have the craziest stat about Avatar for you.
you're making like 30 seconds a day, not even 10 seconds a day of film. Sorry, go ahead.
Film is 24 frames a second. It took 72 hours to render in 1 frame of Avatar.
Sorry, I don't want to do that kind of math.
Really?
It's a lot.
And how many frames are there in a movie?
Well, again, that's a 3-hour movie. I just told you it's 24 frames a second.
Yeah, so it's 306. No, what is it? It's
So do 24 times 60 would get you 1 minute.
oh well, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder it. That's why it takes that long. It's
Yep.
not the filming; it's the editing.
Yeah, and the rendering and the
Yeah,
CGI.
yeah, that's
and,
what
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why those movies. How long did they actually film for?
Like I think I remember too reading that Final Fantasy, it took like 10 years to make.
The video game?
No, they made like a what's
A
it called?
CGI
Like a
movie?
CGI movie, yeah, like Beowulf kind of that sort of.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Kirk Cousins got
The
injured.
the first
season
big
over.
break after the studio A24. No, this is before A24. Whoever helped them make the movie to get it to Sundance. Then the next big break was Sundance said, this is a movie to look out for before it's been out there. So filmmakers, you want to get that mention.
Yes, filmmakers, you would like to be at Sundance in case you were
No,
unaware.
everyone's at Sundance, but you've got to get them
No,
to.
not everybody is at Sundance. You have to be invited to Sundance.
And then
first
it
of
played
all.
at Sundance and blew up. They met all their heroes. The guy who did Hereditary, Jordan Peele. They said it was horrible experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not used to being around that sort of
So,
stuff,
and there's the first thing, like they said, there's open to critique. Like, I think they must have had some thicker skin from. There must be people who hate Raka Raka.
Like I
comments on
don't
the
even
YouTube
know
videos.
what the Raka Raka boys are. What
me
was
neither.
their website? It was doing like being hit by cars.
Do you remember
and-
Ronald McDonald who just beat the shit out of people?
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
their big,
that's
big,
their
big
big
one.
thing.
Which I find is hilarious the first time.
Right.
It's like,
I remember you showing me that. You thought it was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you know that they're involved in that like backyard wrestling and that Ronald McDonald was a character in the backyard wrestling, it makes way more sense.
So anyway, so they have the success at Sundance, and then they get picked up by A24. A24 is now the. Remember, we talk about certain production companies go, "Oh, we're in for a good one."
Yeah.
A24 is that now. I think
Oh, for sure. When you
The
look at their
coolest indie
lineup
studio.
of movies, it's like
Ex Machina, Uncut Gems, everything all at once.
it's like when you see Blumhouse.
This is going to be good.
You just know, it's gonna be like some fucking B horror movie. You know,
Oh, sorry, I don't watch a lot of
you know
movies.
Blumhouse?
yeah.
It's like always some like shitty horror movie.
I have the theory that if you have more than 3 production companies, you're in for just a shitty movie. Like do films, because everyone has their. And you realize they put all
there's
their
too many cooks
eggs
in the kitchen.
in that graphic because they're thinking that's going to go on movies forever. They think they're dumb, which they are genius. Like they're very interesting and insightful, even though they're so crazy and like.
Well,
people
you can be
smash their
super
glasses.
creative and still be dumb.
Yes, okay,
That's true,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Never open up a book in your life. You know what I mean?
They both.
Like the Michael seems like just a real like I go out and get hit by cars, and the other guy seems like he's a little
I
more
talk to myself in my
introspective,
car.
but he's still using
Talk
himself
to
as like a
myself
guinea
while I hit
pig
Michael.
for
I talk to
$100 a day.
myself when I hit Michael.
They both had nightmares about the night before about going to the show that Joe was going to hate them, which I think he sort of, I don't know if he didn't hate them. Their talent and their achievement got them a lot.
I am.
I think
dying
this.
to
I think
know.
that Joe didn't hate them, but we are starting to see that Joe is a 56-year-old man. Like, by and large, Joe has people closer to his age on. These guys were young.
30 years old, yeah.
Like other than Matt Rife, can you think of anyone younger than 30 that's been like a guest in the last 2 years, realistically?
Well, these are the first wild YouTubers he's ever had.
Yeah.
Wildest YouTubers. I mean, Philip DeFranco and
He definitely
Crowder.
good work on Jamie too to get the camera away from Joe, and they were like, "Why haven't you had Logan Paul on yet?" And then he
No,
goes,
there's enough time. You can see.
Well, he says what? I don't know.
I don't know. Who? Logan who?
But yeah, because he is the one who convinced Logan to fight KSI, right? There's that clip of him. I didn't even know that was them when I saw that clip.
And they apparently are friends with Logan and KSI. Like you just the crews they're running, but I mean they're in Australia. I guess they live in LA now. And now they're just around the world. We tried to say The Grudge
"Oh my god,
4
that's fucking
times.
hilarious!"
And the garage.
The garage, Joe. The garage.
They were talking about the Australians don't like watching movies with the Australian accent.
Interesting.
Really?
I also don't like watching movies with the Australian accent.
I love the Australian accent.
No, I'm just joking. It's fine. I don't care.
But it's just sort of like they've got conditioned to see the best movies they see. Everyone's speaking English.
But I'm telling you, like this movie, you know, people told me to watch. I knew the backstory, blah, blah, blah. If I'm like scrolling through and I get to like a Australia automatic skip, you just
100%.
assume it's garbage. But that's a bad assumption. No, I'm saying
yeah.
like same with like British TV for me. I just automatically, I'm like, oh, it's British. It's going to be garbage. Meanwhile, they have tons of good television.
Did you watch Five Hands?
I don't think
It's
so.
Heath Ledger's first movie.
I mean, maybe.
It was an Australian movie.
I don't think so.
You watched Chopper
Yeah.
and
Chopper.
They're Stray Dogs. Is that what it's called?
Romper Stomper.
Yeah, I remember Romp with Russell Crowe.
Do you know
his
which
first
one I'm
movie.
talking about where the family gets taken hostage in their house? Straw Dogs.
No, I've
Straw
not seen
Dog.
that. That's
No, I haven't
Australian
seen
as
that
well.
I thought it was Australian.
It's Australian. Nah, I haven't seen it, mate.
No, but yeah, it's just bad thinking on my part for sure. But
Fair dinkum.
that's how biased I am.
I think it's like for Australians, it's just like we think when we know something's a Canadian production. It's
Oh,
just
yeah,
not
I'm
going to be
out.
as good.
Oh,
You have
I
a
should
bias
say
to it.
I'm Canadian, and the
And you-
second I
and
see
you
a
don't-
Canadian
I'm out.
production,
We don't like
Yeah.
Canadian
I
content.
go
so
even quicker
there you
away
go.
from that than I do from the Aussie
Yeah,
television.
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's
So,
true all
there
around.
you go.
I can tell a Canadian production fucking right away. It's not as bad as it used to be.
Funny story about the Norwegian internet ad. And that's why I always remember, like, you think a company just does ads in their one space and then sends them out. But the company hires someone in Norway, someone in Toronto. Like, they're all still made locally. And they almost blew up the set. Did you watch the ad?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they played it. You didn't.
I didn't know.
They just love stuff to be full on. Michael starts talking about the success. He gets it. Well, it's already up to 90 million. And I don't know if you know, but Danny was like, stop bragging. It was that tall poppy, the complete opposite of an American. And be like, yeah, 90 million. We're going to put 90 million. We're going to make it to it. Like, that'd be celebrated. But they're like, yeah, okay. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember.
It was like he scolded him. It was like, you sound like a fuckwit now. You're
I just
bragging.
felt like both of those guys were always looking to take the piss out of each other, and that's why I think they fought each other. 'Cause eventually, it just went too far.
But I think as it went on, that wore out.
Well, because they got it out of their system because they fucking
yes,
threw
exactly,
hands.
Exactly. Well,
So Simon, you think that they took off their shirts, fought, and then just grabbed whatever shirt was on the ground, the
I
wrong
think
ones.
multiple times these guys tried to fight on Rogan's show.
So there was no
stated
blackout.
that 5 times.
I hate when he does this.
Well, no,
he just fucking asked me, you prick.
Do you not understand what he's stating happened?
Yeah, but I'm just trying to double down and say so. He thinks that after the fight, their shirts were down. They just grabbed a random shirt, or you think the shirts was intentional?
If his story's true, I think Joe just said, guys,
Yeah.
and authoritative guys. No, I don't think there was.
Get your fucking shirts
But
back
why-
on, and
hold
they
on, hold on,
scrambled.
hold on.
Oh,
but
Matt,
why-
by the way, I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because Simon, it seems more likely that Joe would just end the fucking thing and not release it.
He loved the movie too much.
No,
No, but when on the last interruption, he goes, if there's another one, I'm done with this. Like, it's.
I'm telling you. These
not-
motherfuckers kept trying
It's
to
your
throw
theory.
hands.
I'm not supporting it.
I'm not saying they did it every time. I'm not saying every time it
Yeah.
went into a brawl, but they would like run at each other, or like one would get up and try and hit the other to provoke a fight. And Joe kept having to tell them to cut it out. And that's what those things eventually, I don't know when it was that they switched shirts, but that was the one time they actually.
Through hands.
And then Joe said, the next time you guys try that, we're done.
Maybe. And another interesting thing was they were approached by Deadpool to make a viral video. And Danny just put on a weird wig, but they didn't tell anyone what, so no one knew it was on. But that exists in the space where a company will go fuck around and film it. Have you guys seen Deadpool?
Yep.
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack their brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head, find out what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week we're doing Deadpool.
1 or 2.
One.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt, for clarifying that for Simon's sake.
Simon, you have a year written down?
Nope.
Starring
You worked through the theme song?
Ryan Reynolds, Miranda Baccarin, Ed Skrein, TJ Miller, Gina Carano, oh yeah, and Brianna Hildebrand. This is got to be, oh no, I don't know. Maybe the comic book was very popular. This started as a comic book, correct? Correct? Or was it a graphic novel?
Okay, I have a year, but not anything else.
Oh, he
Okay.
was an X-Men.
I have a year as well. I have 2013.
I said 2011.
Wasn't that far back. It was only 2016.
Whoa.
Garbage. Fucking
Yeah.
bullshit garbage. Fuck.
Well, there's a chance to redeem yourself, though.
Okay,
All right.
I'm ready.
Jesus Christ.
All right, you want to hear what I got?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got 49 million to make, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's got to be way more than that.
Yeah, you're a
and
total.
it made 678.
I said it cost 128 and it made 520.
I think I got to give this Simon budget 58 million.
Wow.
Whoa.
I called you an asshole.
Yeah.
Box office 782 million.
I mean, I'm still way off, but closer.
I'm being
Wait, what did you say the
generous.
box office was?
678. So I'm
Yeah,
100
okay, yeah.
off the box
You-
office.
you're
You got to
really
be
in the-
50 and
Yeah, I don't give it to
whatever.
him, but
You're
he
really
was
in the
closer than I
neighborhood.
was.
Had you got the year,
Definitely didn't deserve the asshole. That's for
No,
sure.
I rescinded the asshole. 100% rescinded.
All right. Well, that makes it all worth it. That was the movie game.
Yeah. I'm a
words-
rescinded asshole.
right out of my mouth.
Rescinded asshole. That sounds terrible.
Doesn't it?
eh?
Yeah.
Sounds like a prolapsed anus.
Oh, my rescinded asshole.
They,
Barely holding in my prolapsed anus.
they
That's what
get
Kamar gets from getting his ass fucked.
they get
so gay.
They get prolapsed. They get lost. Oh, fucking Miami.
Who scored?
Not New England.
Not London? No. Scott fucking Miller.
Scotty Miller.
God fucking damn. He's not even on the list of people to pick.
I need you guys to focus so I can bring this home, okay?
Okay, do it. Oh, come on.
Oh, this motherfucker, eh?
Danny starts to try and explain miniature and bigature.
Yeah.
That was a new word that I really never heard. And he didn't get to bigature to explain it because Joe was like, why if I look at a model, can I tell it's a model? And Jamie
I know.
immediately puts a model in front of background and goes, that's real.
Oh, sometimes Joe just gets stuck on things and won't let them
Yeah.
fucking go.
Yeah.
To the detriment of the podcast, I might add.
But and Danny kept trying to say bigature, and I wanted him to explain
What is bigature?
Well, to do stuff, they'll make a set of something real smaller to do the special effects, but for some reason they make it bigger for the same way it assists in the cinema. He didn't get to explain because Joe was talking about there's something about seeing a model. I can tell it's a model. Probably because it doesn't have an engine in it. They are PG offspring children. So they were restricted viewing, but I guess their dad and their grandfather sounds like a pimp. Just get them slasher films apart.
Sounds like he was just like totally fucking out of it. The grandfather.
Yeah, good for him.
And the impactful movie, this one makes him young. I don't know if you guys have this, was Chainsaw Massacre 3.
The new one, where our impactful movie is Chainsaw Massacre 1.
Yeah,
Our
I get
impactful movie was like Freddy. What are you talking
What
about?
was your most impactful horror movie?
I think it was in grade 6 or 7. A kid had people over to watch Friday 13th.
And that's what fucked you
I
up
couldn't
the
watch
most?
it.
The number one?
I think I left the room.
Number one is actually the scariest of all the Jasons because there is no Jason. It's the mom. And you never know what's going on. It's got a real creepy vibe to it. Actually, the first Jason isn't terrible either when he's actually Jason.
It was 1 or 2, but I just remember sort of being embarrassed.
What about you, Matt? I think we've asked this before.
Yeah, I think it would have to be Nightmare on Elm Street, I think.
Number one?
Probably like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I was going to say one would have been too...
I think 1 came out the year I was born.
Yeah.
But my dad, don't forget, my dad let me see everything. There was no like, he didn't give a shit.
Mine, is summer camp. Or just
Sleepaway
sleepaway
Camp, yeah.
But the one that also fucked me up was this one called Serpent and the Rainbow. It was this weird, like African voodoo type movie. And I was just so young when I saw it. And it just fucked me up.
Because it takes place on location in another country.
Yeah, it was like
which
real
always makes something
spooky,
really
man.
happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, but the Sleepaway Camp though, and Friday the 13th, like we would watch these at Sleepaway Camp, so it was like it was terrifying. You had to watch people get slaughtered
in the forest,
in a bunkhouse bathroom, and then go in the middle of the night and have to use a bunkhouse bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, Simon, don't forget, I watched those up at my cottage.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
Right? So you're on a fucking isolated island.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
You hope you can see them coming. Unless I believe Jason could walk along the bottom of a lake and just come.
Yes.
Yeah, he could, yeah.
Well, I mean, he can go to space also, so that's
true,
real.
yeah.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th, the first one was pretty scary.
I thought so.
I watched
Johnny
the
Depp's
remake
first
the
movie.
other day. Fucking terrible.
Of course.
Again, this is all in hindsight, and now that there's Friday the 13th, 25.
You know, it was
the whole
another
thing-
movie I found very scary as a kid. I don't know if you've even seen this. Children of the Corn.
Yeah, I remember Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn.
Very scary. Just the commercial. the commercial alone. I don't think I
The commercial.
just the commercial for Children of the Corn was enough.
Children of the Corn.
Gingers walking out of the cornfields.
Have you seen the original Pet Cemetery?
Yep.
Pet Cemetery.
That's a good. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I saw this interview today of Stephen King, and he's talking about The Shining, and they're asking him like, "Did you like the movie The Shining?" And he's like, Jack Nicholson did a really good job, and I gave Stanley Kubrick a live grenade, and he threw his body on top of it. It's just like, whoa, he did not like that.
Supernatural is a good genre to do over superheroes. Because superheroes, there's too much you've got to surrender.
What do you mean?
In a superhero movie, you got to fly. We can suspend disbelief to enjoy the movie. But in the genre of supernatural, who knows? Ghosts, the hand, just and then the practical effects. It's a lot more easily for you to sort of suspend your disbelief and get caught in this world that they make. I think, and I think that's why they want to do this and not superhero movies. Though they do want to do an action movie, which would be pretty interesting.
Well, Street Fighter is an action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's that. But I think they want to do their own. I think that's what they said. Deathmatch wrestling. They're doing the documentary on it because it is
It's fucking insane.
we were talking
Yeah,
on the drive
shit's
today.
nuts.
On the drive today, we were talking about how fighters have to be a certain mentality.
Yeah.
And if Francis made enough money from this boxing match
Yeah.
to see just right off the sunset, because he seems like a nice guy. To be a fighter, you still have to be a dick
Yeah.
and not like people or get in you. I mean, they shake hands after, but you've got to want to beat the guy up. You can't I don't know.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So what these guys are doing for the least money and the least, it just baffles the
The
mind.
most risk for the least money. It doesn't make any
It's the
sense.
ultimate love of the
it's
game.
for the love and the weirdest game. Like
Yeah.
a game that most people don't give a fuck about.
But you can see these guys are wild boys. See someone do that, want to do themselves, and then find out there's just a counterculture community that's doing it all over the place.
Yeah, this was just like Joe could not. I mean, I can't comprehend this wrestling, but Joe could definitely not.
It was way
comprehend
too
this
irresponsible for
wrestling.
him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, once the older you get, the more incomprehensible certain things become. Well, you forget what it's like to be like in your 20s where you're like, I'm
mean,
invincible.
This is still like when you watch what they do. In
I
these
understand,
things,
but I'm just saying that a 20-year-old Simon could understand this a lot easier.
Getting obsessed with it.
20-year-old Simon got on airplanes.
yeah, okay. You weren't watching it, but they put all these fucking.
No, wrong guy, you fuck! Fuck!
They put all these light bulbs.
So much for
Yeah.
waiting to get all the details of the story
The,
before you make a statement
the
on it.
light bulbs together into one giant fucking light bulb and then smash each other with them. Like it's nuts.
I put it in the realm of like I don't know what happened to it, but when Lollapalooza first started, there was a thing called Jim Rose Sideshow.
Okay.
People hanging cinder blocks from their dick and
Yeah. I
remember
shoving
that,
needles
yeah.
through. Oh, just whatever.
They
That
still have those things.
well, this seems like an extension of that.
The wrestling?
Yeah, self mutilation. It's 'cause
Yeah, I guess there's
Zach
it's just-
D'Amico
it's
is
fucking
into this stuff.
The backyard wrestling.
Yeah,
Who the fuck is Zach D'Amico?
death
a
match
comedian.
wrestling. Joe asked him. They talk about Michael's sleep issues. He says he only sleep for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's got to stink.
What a weird thing, eh?
Yeah. Terrible. I mean, when you're smoking meth,
When you
it's tough
are
to get those.
when
you are meth, yes,
it's hard to get any shut
I
eye.
imagine if I took everything I've ever learned at the age of 30, put all my money into this thing, and it blew up, and I made $90 million. I don't think I could sleep. I do not know.
They didn't make $90 million. That's not how this
It
works.
made $90 million, which
It
now
made-
means your next thing is greenlit.
You could sleep. You could sleep. Like you party hard enough and you sleep. You do anything, you sleep. Like he has some like
You just
brain
hit
problem.
$60,000. Do you think you would sleep tonight?
Yep.
Yes,
like
like
a
100,
fucking
like a baby.
Okay, whatever,
the
whatever,
deepest,
whatever,
best
whatever.
sleep
Yeah.
I've ever had.
Couldn't agree more.
knowing Kamar that everybody I love is forever taken care of. That's what
No,
kind of
60.
sleep
I
I'm
think
gonna
it makes
have.
him restless.
Whatever,
Yeah.
60 million.
I
you
think
can take care of everybody for 60
I think
million.
it makes Michael restless because everything he puts his mind to has come to fruition and been successful. He's constantly, what else can I do?
You know what makes them restless?
Meth. But they do drink energy drinks, and I liked it when well, do you drink energy drinks, Joe? Yeah, but a couple. Which I think was a good admission that Joe bangs bulls or rock stars is just like everyone else.
It's so weird, meth drinking energy drinks. Like it seems like an oxymoron
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You assume they were made.
of energy drinks.
Yeah.
The blood is
Yeah, I
just
would assume they have an IV of Red Bull every morning.
And then they talked about how they sort of started the whole influencer boxing thing. And I think it's weird that Joe was like, "No, I wouldn't do that."
wouldn't do what?
He was going to fight Wesley Snipes back in the day.
Was he? Influencer boxing, like Joe could have a big match.
Well, why
Joe's
the
too
fuck
rich
would
to do
he?
it. The point is if Joe was worth $1 million right now, Joe would definitely celebrity box someone.
100%.
100%.
Sorry?
Get the fuck out of here.
If he wasn't, as
If
well-
Joe
wasn't
Rogan was
famous,
not who
yeah.
is
Okay,
who he
okay,
is, if he was worth $1 million,
Perfect.
let's say he had only done what's the show, the talk radio.
News radio.
Let's say he had only done news radio and maybe like one other show after that, small bit part type deal, and was worth like $1 million. and someone offered him like 20 million to fight one of these guys right now, he'd jump in there in a fucking
Well, he already would have fought
heartbeat.
Wesley
You
Snipes.
think?
So
You think?
I'm almost positive.
Well, what Michael said is, I wanted to experience that anxiety in the tunnel, that walking out people cheer, which you would want to experience up until you get punched in the face, and then the experience gets a lot realer. But
that was funny. Sorry, you had more?
it's one of those things, you have to do it. You couldn't pay to have that experience. You have to train, get an opponent, build up anxiety, and do it, right? You can't just contrive it. That's all I was
Yes,
going
you
to say.
can. Yeah.
It was funny when he said, yeah, Joe, don't you want to fight like Bruce Buffer? We'd all love to see that. Yeah, we would love
Yeah,
to see
we
that,
would, yeah.
actually.
They were fucking around, poking around.
That was right before they had their first Donnybrook, as they say in Australia.
I hope you're right, and it comes out. one day.
Imagine we get those clips one day. Jamie releases them.
And we talked about
Or
four.
maybe one of them film the other one. That would be the type of shit they would do. This is us beating the shit out of each other on
The
Joe
best footage
Rogan.
would be if Joe had like gotten both of them. Like he's got one in a headlock. He's
Yeah.
got one locked up in
Yeah.
the legs. He's like,
Yeah,
that's enough.
nice.
That's enough.
I choke out pit bulls for a living, you dumb shits.
It was weird. We alluded to before, but then Michael asked Joe why he hasn't had Logan Paul on.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he stumbled mid-ask, questioning himself whether he should ask him, but still got it out. He was like, "What? Having Logan Paul on the show?" Like, decided to go through with it. I think the guys are balls out, and Joe's response was very, I don't know.
I feel like
Never thought about him. He's not a guy I'm interested in. I only have people. It's just very interesting.
I feel like these guys had certain things they needed to do on the show.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't have done them, their fan base would have thought they were not being authentic. One of those things was fighting each other. Done. The other one was asking Joe about Logan Paul. Done.
They're shit disturbers.
Yeah.
They're really good at it.
You know what's also good at shit disturbing?
Who do you think would be on sooner, or they'll never be on? Logan Paul or Dylan Dennis?
Dylan Dennis will never be on.
No, Dylan Dennis will never be on. And I think that Jake Paul gets on before Logan does.
Well, that's a nice little prediction.
All right, do you want to rate it? Are we done?
Oh, and then they just finished off talking about AI and just wrestling. Like Danny, because he was conflicted. Like maybe it could be good. No way, it's got to come from the soul. And that it's this creeping thing. Like I was saying when we first heard about ChatGPT, like hold on, world. It doesn't seem like it's changed that much, but guys like Coleman Hughes and stuff.
I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people recently who are like, ChatGPT does my whole job. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I've run into a lot of people who have said the same thing. Like things that used to take me hours, I just have ChatGPT do now. And
I mean, I have to say, as someone who had a job where I sent like literally hundreds of emails a day, having a fucking automated AI to do that for you is like, yeah, that would have saved me. I could have had, yeah.
let's just say you are you sell t-shirts. Okay. That's what you do for a living. You're a t-shirt guy. When you load up your t-shirts onto your website, you got to write a description about each one. You know this shit, the behind the scenes
It's a nightmare.
monotony that makes that easy job not so easy. This now writes all that shit for you. You don't have to do anything. Like, anyway, it really is for stuff like that, for menial tasks that you could do, but you just don't wanna,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
We've only just begun. Yeah, I love this podcast. I give it a 5.
Yeah, I need like a
You
chat.
love this podcast. You give it a 5.
I need a chat GPT that can do drywall for me. When you got that, then we've really figured shit out.
Well, no, in my
Who can change a light for me?
in my defense, even though these guys are first time, like this is the most insight into filmmaking I've heard.
Who cares? You're not interested in filmmaking.
They made it sound interesting. Just the 90 seconds, there are so balls deep in it, and they're still excited about it. Whereas none of this was ever discussed with Oliver Stone. Like he never talked technical filmmaking things. It was just ideas.
I mean, I didn't need that out of this podcast. I liked it while they were talking about their movie, but everything else I found to be a little cracky, methy. Made me feel methy.
Yeah.
It felt like I was watching Uncut Gems. How about that?
Yeah. I give it a 1.
Oh, wow. You hated it.
They seem like nice guys. It was too like all over the place.
I am-
Joe seemed out of sorts.
I give it
didn't
a
like
3. They were all over the place for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I quite liked the film.
That has nothing to do with the episode, but fair enough.
Well, it made me want to watch the film, and I appreciated getting the backstory to the film. You have a real bad attitude, you know that?
I just thought I won
bad
fucking
attitude.
$2,000 and this asshole
we
wrong fucking
heard.
guy scored. Fuck. Bullshit. Fucking assholes. All right, that's an episode. If you made it this far. If you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you've been with us for any amount of time, whether it's from day one, I mean, if you're a day oneer, that's fucking
5
incredible.
years or 5 minutes.
No, for real. Yeah. It's been I don't know what it's been. It's been frustrating, I'll tell you that. But it's been an adventure, and we're glad you guys are with us. Maybe you're willing to go a step further. We have a Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. Just head over to patreon.com/JREE podcast. For that $5, you'll get the post show, the show after show where we shoot the shit. You'll also get some other stuff. That's it. We thank you so much. We love you. We hope you have a great week. We hope you enjoy your weekend. And as usual,
Keep your eyes open. Whoa, that was weird. Keep your eyes open. I feel like Kamar for a second.